welcome or welcome back to my channel. I am the Nosy Witch and this is my channel, Nosy Witch Tarot. I just want to thank you all so much for being here and giving me the opportunity to read for you. I always say this and I know it probably gets annoying for those of you who listen to my readings a lot, but I really just want you all to know that I do not take anything for granted. I notice every single like, every single comment, and every single subscriber. And so many of your comments make me smile, they make me laugh sometimes, and sometimes they genuinely make me cry a little bit in a good way, because this time last year, I wouldn't have even dreamed of putting myself out there like this. So the fact I'm even doing any of this and that I've been fortunate enough to connect with some of you, even if, you know, I've only managed to help in one tiny little way, that just means the absolute world to me, and I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate hearing from you. It's still just mind-blowing to me that over 500 people like my content enough to subscribe, and sometimes I just still can't believe I'm doing this. It might not seem like a big deal to many people, but it really is to me. So with that said, if you do like my content and you want to see more of it, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. A number of you, I have noticed that you do watch me with some level of consistency, but you're not subscribed. So as I said last time, you know, don't leave me hanging. Don't leave me asking, what are we? Please click my silly little sub button and make me very happy. And if you do get a chance to like the video or to leave a comment, even if it's just to tell me which pile you picked, that would just help me out so much, and it just gives me that little bit of motivation to keep going and making content, and it's completely free for you, so win-win. On to the usual disclaimers just before we get started and we look at the full reading breakdown. Please note that these are collective readings and not every single detail is going to resonate for you. I sometimes give specific examples throughout these readings, however, you do not have to take these specific examples as being part of your story if that simply doesn't apply. Take what's for you and leave the rest for the person or people those messages are intended for. I would not expect every detail to resonate for you in a collective reading, but as long as the overarching energy resonates for you, that is confirmation you've chosen the right pile. You are also very welcome to choose more than one pile if more than one is calling to you. No pressure if not. With that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about what you can expect from your reading today. This reading is titled Who is Falling for You this fall and why? So we have a little bit of a cozy autumnal theme going on with the reading and with the stickers today. But you know, we're coming into September and it's still August when I'm recording this, but the video might go up in September. So I want to welcome September and fall, the season generally, with a little bit of a bang and do a fall themed reading. So this reading is all about the person who is going to be thinking about you, obsessing over you, and very much into you throughout the upcoming few months. We're not only going to be looking at this person and their energy, we are also going to be looking at your energy, this connection generally, and we are going to be finding out why they are falling head over heels for you, what it is about you that has them falling. We're going to find out. We're going to be looking at their next actions in relation to you and this connection, and we'll also be rolling the astro dice for further confirmation regarding astrological signs. Now, if you aren't single or you are currently in a connection, you can use this reading as a deeper look at your current person's energy. However, for many of you, this might be more likely to be in relation to a crush, an upcoming connection, or maybe somebody who you are in limbo with or who you want a little bit of clarity about. It could be about that person. And please bear in mind that I really have no idea who is going to come through on a reading like this until I sit and I actually do the reading. So if you're sensing that the pile you picked is about a person you do not want to hear about, please feel free to choose another pile or click off this reading. Please do whatever is in your best interests. Sometimes someone's energy comes through and it's just not someone we need to be hearing about. However, I do always want to be honest about what I'm seeing, but if it's not in your best interest to hear about that, just please click off. Please look after you. Please disengage. Please take a step back if you need to. So as usual, this reading will be split into two main sections. During the first section, we are going to be looking at a selection of oracle cards, and this will be representative of this person and the connection as a whole. You may use this portion as an energy check and as confirmation you've chosen the right pile. We will then move on to the tarot reading, where we will be doing a deeper dive, but this will be in a slightly different format to my usual readings. We will be asking 4 main questions, and we are going to be looking at 3 cards at a time for an answer to each one of those questions. So the first 3 cards will be representative of their energy. So we'll be elaborating on what was said during the oracle reading and diving into that a little deeper. The next 3 cards will be representative of your energy. How are you going to be feeling towards this connection and person? The 3 cards following that will take a look at why this person is falling for you. What is it about you that has them falling? And the next 3 cards will focus on their next actions. Are they making a move? What's happening? What can you expect? We will then be ending the reading with some closing guidance from the Beach Time Soul Oracle. So if that sounds like something you are interested in, please stick around. We are about to get started. Before we do, let me just introduce each one of the piles. So here we have pile 1 and the Witchy Magic Tarot with the backpack sticker. Here we have pile 2 with the Queer Tarot and the pumpkin sticker. Here we have pile 3 with the Good Karma Tarot and the chicken in a jumper sticker. And here we have pile 4 with the Plastics Oracle and Mean Girls Tarot and the mushroom sticker. Once you have made your selection, please head to the pinned comment or the description box below. There will be timestamps listed there, and that will take you to the start of your chosen reading. With all of that said, let's get started. Thank you so much for being here, Collective, and I'll see you at your chosen pile. Hi Pile 1 Collective! If you chose Pile 1 and you chose the Witchy Magic Tarot and you chose the backpack sticker, you are in the right place. Welcome to your reading, friends. If you would like a full breakdown regarding what to expect in this reading, then please check out the introduction, but we are about to get started with the oracle portion right now. So actually we are going to be popping your tarot cards to one side for now so we can focus on these oracle cards. So let's get started and have a look what we pulled for you, Pile 1. Okay, Pile 1, we have got number 61, Daydream. We have got number 13, Courage. We have got Pure Intention. The Fairy of Manifestation will help you to use your wishes wisely. Manifest your heart's desire with pure intention and for the highest good of all. And we have got number 34, Observation. So when we get cards with numbers on, I usually like to mention them at the beginning. So here we have number 61, number 13 and number 34. These could be important in terms of dates, ages, synchronicities, angel numbers, although that does not have to apply. It's just a little bit of extra confirmation for those of you where it does apply. So Pile 1, I am really feeling like this energy is possibly more indicative of a secret crush than anything else, because with Daydream coming through, it's making me feel like this is a person who is thinking of you a lot, but they haven't actually done anything about it. And it's interesting with Courage coming through. I wanted to say that this person might come across as courageous on a surface level. Maybe they're the kind of person with a little bit of bravado, like a shield of confidence. Maybe they have some fire energy in their chart, or they are a fire rising. So the way they show up in the world, the way they approach it, is at a first glance pretty bold, pretty adventurous. They like to get stuck in there. The fire sign thing doesn't have to apply specifically, but it's that kind of energy where this doesn't really seem like a person where anything phases them initially. Like, I just don't think you would look at this person and automatically deem them a stereotypical wallflower. Even if they're not super outgoing or even if they're not super extroverted, there is going to be something about them that is a little bit bold or direct. So let's say if this is a colleague, and this is just one example, it doesn't have to be this, they don't have to be a colleague or anything like that, but this could be the person cracking jokes when everyone else is quiet. They could be kind of charming, kind of charismatic, not afraid to talk to people, particularly if that is like part of their job. It doesn't have to be, but in terms of dealing with the public, they could really turn the charm on. You could see them doing this. If they have to sell something, as just one example, basically they're the kind of person where like they could sell ice to an Eskimo. It's that kind of energy. And you could kind of look at this person and be like, there they go again, like rolling your eyes, because maybe you interpret them as a bit of like an F-boy girl. But for all this bravado, I'm getting like they haven't made a move yet. And with that, I'm getting that this person feels like they really have to garner up this courage to talk to you. It's like there's something about you that kind of throws them off kilter a little bit. Maybe they find you hard to read and they almost don't know how to act around you to some extent. I think, you know, this is a person who is used to getting other people to like them very easily. And they're used to dealing with people who show their hand in a way, and I think maybe you don't. So in turn, this person is worried about broaching you. There's something with their ego here, like they don't want to get rejected. One way you might know who this is if there's a person in your life who does kind of match that description above, but for some reason you can sense that they're a little bit awkward around you or a little bit offish in a certain kind of way. This is that person. Like, maybe they don't quite have their usual humor in front of you or something. And I'm getting the phrase like best behavior, like they're on their best behavior. And now the image I'm getting in my head is like, when you're at a friend's house and you and your friend are just being really foolish, like you're rolling around their bedroom, cracking up at stupid things, or you're making dirty jokes, or you're just doing something you shouldn't be doing, and then their parent comes in to ask if you want a cup of tea or a biscuit or something like that, and then you're suddenly sort of scrambling, trying to get up, and you're like, "Oh yes, Mrs. Brown, I would love a cup of tea. Thank you so much. Your house is so beautiful, by the way." It's like you want to impress them, you want to convince them you're not a bad influence on their child and that you're a nice, polite, demure, and mindful person. It's like that kind of energy almost. This person wants to impress you, but they can't completely suss you out. Maybe they don't really know what your style of humour is yet, or something like that, or they just don't know too much about you as a whole, so they go a little bit more quiet or reserved around you than what they normally are. Maybe there's a little bit of intimidation because you don't give too much away, like they're kind of scared to ask you questions. So I think they're silently observing you with this crow on the card, trying to figure out how the spider weaves its web. I think that's what this person is doing with you. I think before they make any big moves, they want to figure you out, they want to know what you like and don't like. I think they're studying you, they're trying to gain information in whichever way they can. So I think this is a person who gets a chance to look at you to some capacity. I know that sounds creepy. Whether that's in person, like through a job, or they see you out and about, or they view your social media, or even if they don't have you on social media, like you're private, maybe they view glimpses of you through like a mutual friend's social media, if a friend posts about you or something like that, or posts a picture of you and them together, whatever the case may be. But it's like they try to pick things up about you from these tiny pieces of information, these glimpses into who you are or what you do, and they kind of sit on that information and they're gathering up a picture about who you are as a whole based on this. This is the kind of person who would remember those tiny details about you. Like, let's say your mutual friend posts a story about you and they're like, at Pal One's favourite restaurant with them. It's like this person could not speak to you directly for months or years, but whenever they do pluck up the courage to say something or to ask you out, they'll take you to that restaurant on the first date and you'd be like, how did you know that I liked this restaurant? And they're like, "Oh, well, Susan posted you guys together there on her story 5 months ago, so I knew you liked it." It's that kind of vibe. I think they want to figure you out a little bit more before they make a move, because it could be that this person senses something with you, some kind of chemistry or tension. They can feel it, but they don't really know enough about you to take it further at this stage. And I don't want to word it in the way I'm about to word it because I can't think of a better way to describe it. I don't think it's like they're trying to fit you in a box, but I think because you give so little away, they're really trying to establish what type of person you are. Like I say, I don't think it's that they're trying to make you conform to just one thing, but right now they feel this spark, they're doing a lot of daydreaming about it, but then maybe right now it's kind of like they're having to fill in the blanks. So maybe they're thinking of all the things that you and them could do together, but then their logical side comes through and it's like, well, hang on a sec, would Pal One even like this? I don't even know them that well to know if they would. So it's like they're trying not to get too carried away. And it could just be like, they find themselves thinking of you a lot in minor ways. So they're watching a film and they're like, I wonder if Pal One would find this film funny. It's more they want to know what kind of person you are and what you're into that way. Maybe they don't know too much about your hobbies or your interests, your sense of humour, your morals, and they're trying to work it out because they fantasize about you a lot, but they don't want it to be just this illusion based on nothing concrete. But with this pure intentions card, I do really think, this person isn't observing you so they can try and trick you or anything like that. They're not finding out what you like so they can turn around and be like, "Oh, I love that too," when they actually don't and it's just a lie. It's not that kind of energy. It's more like they want to suss you out so they know whether or not they stand a chance, like whether they are your type of person. They don't want to be put in a situation of being rejected, but I do think they want to pursue you from a genuine place. For all their bravado, there is something a little bit innocent about them, almost like this child who is afraid of getting hurt to some degree. And you could have a little bit of a guarded or independent or a kind of black cat vibe. So even if they have this pull towards you, it's like they want to feel really safe when they pursue you because it's going to take them some courage to step forward and take that initial step. So they need to know that you're not the kind of person who would, for example, laugh at them or roast them in the group chat if they came towards you. It's that sort of thing. And some of it, could be their ego. Like maybe they have a certain reputation as being this charming person and they don't want to do anything that leads others to not think of them in that certain light. But yeah, they certainly are thinking of you a lot. They've been watching you, they've been doing their research. So that's what I'm getting for the oracle portion of your reading, pile one. I think we are just going to finish this portion off by rolling the astro dice to get a few signs, and then we will move on to the tarot. Pile one. We have Aquarius coming through. We've got Aquarius. We have Gemini coming through. We've got Gemini. We've got Gemini coming through again, a strong Gemini coming through right now. Let's roll again. Okay, we've got Aquarius coming through again. We'll roll again just to get one more sign in case there's another significant placement coming through. But right now, a lot of Aquarius, a lot of Gemini, air sign energy generally could be significant. Okay, we've got Cancer coming through, so a little bit of air sign, a little bit of water sign. We've got Aquarius twice, Gemini twice, and Cancer. So let's have a little look at the houses as well to maybe give you a little bit more clarity on who this could be. We've got the 5th house, so very creative energy. Someone you might have like a shared hobby with. We have the 3rd house. Yeah, maybe somebody who seems like a good communicator on the surface. Somebody who can talk a lot, somebody who might be a little bit of a yapper, but they're not coming clean about their emotions. So yeah, that's interesting. Maybe more Gemini energy coming through, that could apply. Also, siblings are associated with the 3rd house. I mean, not that this is your sibling, but it could be somebody who knows your sibling or you met through siblings or family or something like that. Doesn't have to be the case. Let's roll one more time. Pile 1. Okay, we have the 4th house as well, so that's a Cancer house, which is interesting because obviously we did get Cancer coming through when we rolled the dice with the signs. So yeah, maybe like moon energy coming through, something that's hidden, somebody having a softer side. I think the 4th house can be associated with like the home and childhood and family life as well. So yeah, somebody with like a little bit of a childlike energy, or somebody maybe family orientated, or family is important to them, or each other through families or something like that. But yeah, that is what I'm getting for the oracle portion of your reading, pile 1. We are going to move on to the tarot, so please bear with me and let's get started with that. Hi Pile 1 Collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. So I am going to be conducting this reading in a slightly different format. So if you want to know why we're going to be looking at the cards this way, then please check out the introduction. I explain everything there. But in terms of the first 3 cards that we're going to be looking at, that is going to be representative of this person's energy. So we're going into a little bit of a deeper dive and elaborating on the things that we spoke about in the oracle. Okay, so I'm going to pop this sticker just to one side, and then we're going to get started by looking at the first 3 cards. Okay, pile 1. We have the 9 of Swords, we have the World, and we have the 3 of Pentacles in reverse. Oh wow, pile 1, their energy towards you is actually a lot heavier than what I expected. This person is really in their feels over you with this 9 of Swords in particular. I actually think this is keeping them up at night. You're depriving them of sleep, pile 1, because they're up thinking about you. I think there's a lot of anxiety on their end in terms of how to go about this situation. They could have their little fantasies, their little daydreams about you whilst falling asleep. That's like, on the one hand, their form of escapism, but on the other hand, it kind of haunts them because that's not the reality of the situation right now. And it could be that their inner daydreams are so vivid, maybe they even have dreams about you a lot. And that would make sense if you are generally playing on their mind a lot throughout the day and they're thinking about you before you go to sleep. Like, it's only natural that they might have dreams about you. But it's like the make-believe part feels so real and so natural and so intense that it's almost hard to believe they don't actually have that access to you in their real life. And I think that's the thing that kind of plays on their mind in a bit more of an anxiety-riddled way. I think, particularly if this is someone you don't know too well, I think they're sort of thinking, why is this so intense? Like, I don't even know pal one like that, and I'm up all night having these fantasies. Like, what is that about? Even if they're not a very spiritual person, they could be inclined to seek out readings about you because they don't know why this pull is so strong. But I think they feel trapped because they might think it's all in their head and that you're not really feeling this, or that they don't stand a chance or something like that. So they're not making the moves. There's this apathy with the Three of Pentacles reversed. They're trying to learn about you, but they're not really implementing some of these things they've learned. They could be stuck in certain old patterns. Like, maybe if this is a person who is used to being chased, they like being chased, they're used to being pursued, they could be being kind of stubborn, like waiting to get more of an indication from you that you're interested. Because it's kind of like we mentioned in the oracle, this could be a person who is used to charming others. Maybe they are used to getting their way, or they're accustomed to having people fall for them. And I don't think you're falling all over yourself trying to get their attention. But instead of them thinking like, okay, well, maybe I should get up off my behind and do some of the pursuing, they're just kind of like, oh, well, they must just not be interested in me then. Like, I'll try and forget about it. But the thing is, they can't. And I think they do try to push this to the back of their mind. Like, maybe they're keeping busy, possibly at their day job, but then at night when they're stuck alone with their own thoughts, they come back to you and they can't really escape that. There might be this sense that they can't give you everything you need. They feel like they don't measure up due to external things going on in their life. Like, they don't really have the time they'd like to dedicate to you. And that leads to a little bit of a loss of motivation because they want you, they're thinking about you nonstop, but they just don't feel like there's enough that they can offer. Maybe they are stuck in some kind of external situation and they're not happy with that situation, they're not satisfied with it, because Three of Pentacles can sometimes indicate third party. I'm not condoning anything like that, I'm just saying that's what it can refer to. However, it doesn't always have to refer to another person, and obviously, use your discernment. If somebody is romantically involved with somebody else, they should be finishing what they're in before pursuing you. But it could be third party, as in, if this person is separating or in the process of ending a relationship, maybe that could be taking up a lot of their time, so they feel a little bit stuck right now. They feel like they can't move towards you. It could be a family or work situation or a health issue. It can be many different things, really, but there's just this overall feeling of, what's the point? Because it's frustrating, like, they do have these pure intentions, but they can't give you everything they feel like you deserve, so maybe they're kind of like, I'll just have to stay stuck fantasizing about this. Maybe for some of you, it's like they've been trying to approach you, but they're not doing it in the right way. So they're feeling kind of apathetic because their old tricks aren't working. And it's funny because they're trying to learn about you. They're trying to find out what you like, but maybe they're not using that information particularly well because they're used to showing up in a certain way and just getting what they want. So maybe they're just trying to go down that route again and it's not working. Maybe in the past they have been a little bit childish in terms of their pursuit of people. Like, they're the kind of person who would maybe tease somebody as a way of flirting with them, but maybe their way of flirting doesn't work on you because either you want someone more direct or you're like, I find it childish that you're insulting me because you like me. Like, you need to be in a different energy because this feels like high school or something like that. But maybe it's just what they're used to, and maybe that kind of gives you the ick a little bit of the time, particularly if it's that teasing thing of like insulting you playfully to let you know they're interested, because maybe you think it's kind of immature, or maybe you see it as like negging. I don't think that that is how this person intends it. Like, I don't think this is a person who's trying to neg you. I think they genuinely think this is what girls like, or this is what boys like. Kind of a bit of like, treat them mean to keep them keen, or something like that. But maybe you prefer a more direct, mature style of communication. But maybe this is something they learn and kind of adopted from either a male or female role model growing up, whichever applies to their gender and, the gender they're interested in. If it's a man looking to pursue women, maybe they had an older brother who taught them these kind of toxic tactics to pull women, like, never let a woman know that you're into her or she'll perceive you as weak, don't be emotional, or something like that. Or if it's a woman looking to pursue men, maybe they had an older sister who was always like, keep men guessing, never give them anything, or they'll think you're easy, or something like that. Don't make it clear you like them. they had someone in their life who encouraged them to kind of withdraw like that or to play childish games. And this might work for them. In fact, I know it works for some people. People who aren't able to love themselves or who have unhealthy attachment styles might fall for this. But the thing is, it has the opposite effect on you, because you like somebody who can be courageous by being truthful about their feelings, you know, not beating around the bush, not playing these games. And you're independent, you'll be good with or without them. So you find it annoying when they think their silly little games will work on someone like you. And honestly, it just makes you want to distance yourself a bit. Maybe you do feel connected to this person, like you can sense the good in them, you can sense those pure intentions, but they resort to this old pattern and kind of fuck it up for themselves because they do something and you're just like, oh no, like, get away from me. And I think honestly, it's them trying to impress you, but it just has the opposite effect. It comes across as all wrong. And it's crazy because they are actually interested in finding out about you. But the more they use these old methods, the more you're like, well, obviously you don't know me if you think that I'd fall for something like that. It's that kind of energy. It could also be like the motivation to just get over themselves and get something out in the open isn't there because they think there's a lot of competition. They're like, you know, Pal 1 could do so much better than me. I bet they have so many people into them, so many people trying. So what's the point when I'm just going to get rejected? They really do think highly of you though. With this world, like they see you as somebody they would want to offer the world to. And they feel something with you that is more than just this surface level. I honestly do think that they think you're the whole package. Like you're all that and a bag of flaming hot chips, as Megan Thee Stallion would say. But that's the thing that's kind of making them reluctant to come forward, because maybe they don't feel like they have their shit together yet. And so they're kind of thinking, you know, what could I possibly have to offer Pal 1 that they don't have already? And they can't think of a good reason why you would choose them. I'm getting the phrase choose them, like you have loads of options, because they perceive you as this person who has many other offers, many other potential suitors. And if it was anyone else, the thing is, they would just go for it. They would feel confident about that in comparison to this situation, because, you know, usually if they go for somebody and it falls apart and they mess it up, it doesn't go the way they expected, then so be it. They don't really care. They'll move on to the next thing. But it's almost like they know that you deserve better. And it's like when they approach you, they want to come correct. I think for some of you, because they don't know you too well, they could actually be putting you up on a little bit of a pedestal. Maybe there's a little bit of illusion or projection going on, and we did get the daydream card in the oracle, so maybe they see you as like their dream person, and in their head they're kind of making you into this unattainable, faraway concept, and they're not acknowledging that, you know, you are a person as well. You do have flaws, we all do, but they haven't seen any because they don't know you like that. They just see you and they think you're perfect, and what could you possibly want with them? This is probably the kind of person where they've thought about you, like maybe they're wondering what you're up to, and it's over really mundane things, like, oh, I wonder what Pal 1 had for dinner tonight, I wonder what they like to eat. And there's something where I don't want to say they dehumanize you, because the intention isn't to make you feel like an object. It doesn't come from a bad place. I can't think of a better word for this right now, but it's like they struggle to comprehend that you're also a human. I think sometimes they can't imagine you, I want to say, like falling into the traps of being human. I don't know what that means, but that's what's coming through. And it could be to do with the way they encounter you. Like we said, I don't think you give a lot away. So if you're somebody who, like in the setting you see them, you're very professional, you always maintain that composure, it's like they can't imagine you being someone who lets their emotions get carried away with them, as one example. Or if they see you on social media and you look flawless and poised and perfect, it's even something as simple as them thinking like, I can't imagine Pal 1 ever burping. I know that was a weird example, but it's like they sort of place you above them, and I think they fantasize a lot about what you get up to when you're at home, just in your own space. But it's wild because with the world, they feel such a sense of belonging with you. There's something that kind of makes them want to go for this or to open up to you because they feel like they just could. And I think there's this sense of like, I don't want to say that you complete them, even though that is what the world can mean, because they don't really know you like that, but I think they just really feel like they would be very fortunate to be in your life, be closer to you, and they feel like you would make a wonderful addition to their life. But that's when it comes back to that thing of them saying like, is this in my head? Because they don't know how you feel, and they don't even think they know you well enough to feel that way, if that makes sense. So let's take a look at how you're going to be feeling about them, Pal 1. So we have got the Four of Swords, We've got Temperance in reverse. And we have got the Five of Pentacles. Okay. Okay, pal one. You are protecting yourself with this Four of Swords. And I understand that. You're keeping your cards very close to your chest. But I do think you kind of know that you're feeling this too, particularly with this Temperance in reverse. You do feel the intensity of this connection. You know, it's interesting because the Four of Swords is obviously about rest, relaxing, recuperation. And if Temperance had come out upright next to it, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. You're completely chill about this. But actually, to be very real with you right now, there's an illusion of chill, but you're not 100% chill about this. But if you're relating to that, don't worry because this person has no idea. Like, you are giving nothing away to this person. To them, you seem very nonchalant about this. It doesn't seem like you think about them. You're focusing on you, you're getting on with your life. But on the inside, there's a little bit of a chaotic whirlwind going on when it comes to this. And actually, I think you might be a little confused about these feelings because maybe this is someone who isn't your typical type, or maybe this is someone who you wouldn't normally have feelings for. Maybe you weren't looking for anything when these feelings arose, or you're kind of like frustrated over the fact. I want to say that you have a soft spot for them because I don't think you're quite on as fully blown of a level of a crush as what they have towards you, but you do have this little bit of a soft spot and intrigue towards them, I think. You're kind of like, oh, I shouldn't like them, they're kind of annoying, they have these little quirks, or, you know, they're not usually my type of person, but I just do. There's something about them where I am pulled to them as well. I mean, maybe it is the fact that they are charming, particularly if you usually look at those kind of people and you're like, oh, you know, they're kind of fake. Like, I prefer people who are a bit more real. You might think this person kind of sucks up to other people a little bit, and that's not normally something you like because usually your intuition tells you that those kind of people are not to be trusted. They're a little bit fake or they're a player, and you just don't fall for that. And you pride yourself on not falling for that kind of bullshit, basically. But this person, they have those traits on the one hand that wind you up, but I also think you can sense their true intentions. And that's what makes you have this soft spot for them, because even though there's things you might not love in terms of how they act, you know that the intention behind it is good, and you kind of can't help but fall for that a little bit. There is a sort of innocence with this person where you're like, oh, like, maybe this is somebody who will grow on you in a way. Like, when you first met, you weren't sure, you didn't think you were going to like them, like, even on a platonic level. Maybe you were like, I don't think I'm going to get on with them because they're so different. But you really warm up to them. But maybe a part of you is also thinking that this person is kind of adorable and you're scared of ruining them because you're kind of intimidating or something like that. I'm getting like you don't want to crush their spirits because they can be so sweet. It's almost like they're this little enthusiastic puppy at times. And yeah, it's kind of like golden retriever energy. Like, they have golden retriever energy, and I think we said something about you having black cat kind of energy. So it's this dichotomy and this feeling of like, this shouldn't work, but opposites attract. Like, I'm kind of drawn to this person, but you absolutely do feel the intensity of whatever this is. You can feel something bubbling up beneath the surface, and maybe you feel like it has got you acting a little bit out of character. I don't think this is in a huge way or anything, but it could be like, particularly if you weren't looking for anything romance-wise, you're the type to just go about your life, you're not looking for anyone's attention. People have tried to flirt with you in the past, but it never really gets you acting in a particular way. You're just like, oh, okay, whatever. But with this person, it's got you like a little bit chaotic. Like, you feel the butterflies sometimes when you think of them. And I think a lot of the time you are just genuinely focusing on you and you're going about your day. That is definitely how it comes across, especially to this person, and we will talk about that. But it could be you do something a little bit, I don't want to say sneaky, but let's say, as one example, it doesn't have to be this example, but let's say you don't normally post pictures of you on social media. It's like, if you have an awareness that this person looks at your profile or your stories, maybe on a whim, you're kind of like, well, maybe I'll just post this picture because I look really cute. and let's just see who views it or who likes it. But in the back of your mind, even if you're not fully acknowledging it on a conscious level to yourself, you're sort of half looking for this person's name. You want to know if they looked at it, but maybe you're not even admitting that to yourself and you're not even really acknowledging why that is. Like, you could be saying to yourself, well, you know, I'm feeling myself, so I'm just uploading this picture, even if I don't normally. And that's true, like, you are doing it for you, but there is some tiny element of like, I don't know why, but I want to say a chaos goblin inside of you who also wants this person to notice it, because you know they're going to be feeling some kind of way when they see it. Like, your little chaos goblin comes out, and maybe you want some indication of how they feel, because with this Five of Pentacles, you're feeling like they're giving you nothing. And it could be because of their lack of motivation in terms of taking a chance on this, but it's like you feel the chemistry, but you're not really getting anything. But I think on their end, they feel like they give too much away in their interactions with you. They feel like this bouncy little golden retriever puppy who is slobbering all over you, and they think you're the black cat because you always come across as very calm, cool, and collected, and like you're not fazed by their presence at all. Even if on the inside your heart is beating faster when you're around them, like the tension is palpable, they feel like it doesn't have any effect on you, and they feel like they're too obvious. But on your end, you feel like they're not being obvious enough because you're getting nothing. It could also be like you are very independent, or you've been on your own working on yourself for a long time, and you're wondering how this person would fit into your life, especially if the two of you are quite different. So maybe you're thinking like, how would this even work? And maybe other things have been taking up your time and attention, things to do with the financial realm in particular. Maybe you've been going through a hard time money-wise and you haven't wanted something romantic with somebody because you haven't wanted to be thrown off balance in that way. So you definitely feel it, they definitely feel it. There's a pull, there's chemistry, but I think both parties feel a little bit confused about this, maybe wondering why it's so strong, why that intensity is there. But let's have a look at what they like about you in particular, pal one. Why are they falling for you? Okay, pal one, we have got the Six of Pentacles, we've got the Ace of Pentacles, and we've got the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. So I had this message in my head that was like, they're falling for you, pal one, because you're just giving. And the voice in my head was like, giving what? But I think that's the whole message. It's like, every time they see you in whatever context they encounter you, they look at you and they're like, pal one is giving. Like, something about the energy or the way you look, or the way you carry yourself, it's always on point. Whatever look you're trying to go for or whatever energy you're trying to step into, you just get it right. If this is in a corporate setting, you're going to be stepping into the office giving professional, composed business boss energy. If this is at a social outing, you're going to be giving fun and entertaining, lively. You're going to be looking amazing whilst doing it. Wherever and whenever they encounter you, they think you have so much to give, and whatever you do it well. You're just giving. But I'm also getting like, maybe this person has a little bit of an inferiority complex when they're stood next to you, because I want to say this person likes you because you're charitable, but I think it's in the context of like, I mean, you could be generally charitable and they see that and that's something they like about you, but I don't think it has to be taken so literally. I'm more getting the sense that if you were, for example, to give this person a compliment, if you just said to them something simple and basic like, oh, like, did you get your hair cut? It looks really nice. This person would almost not believe that you, a literal god or goddess in their eyes, think they look nice. And they almost feel like someone of your caliber is being charitable just by saying one nice thing about them. They're like, I can't believe someone as attractive as pal one would take the time out of their day to compliment little old me. They almost feel like they don't deserve it because you're so far above them. Like, I think anything nice you say to them has them blushing, or like they don't know how to act because they can't believe someone like you would think they're even good enough to give a compliment to. I think this person is just way more insecure than what they actually let on, because I don't even think you view yourself that way, pal one. You might know that you're attractive, you might be secure in yourself, but I don't think that looks are this big of a thing for you. Like, yes, you need to be attracted to a person you want to date, but a lot of that is based on who they are as a person. I think you struggle to be attracted to people based on looks alone, and I don't think you think you're better than anyone else, so I don't think you realise the impact you have on people like this when you give them a compliment. But this person in particular, it's like they feel so, so grateful for it. And I think you can say one little thing and they're thinking about it all day. Like, you might say you like their haircut to be friendly, and they're getting carried away with themselves in a daydream about you, and they're having fantasies of this little life together, and then they almost reprimand themselves for getting carried away, shutting themselves down. They're like, don't be silly, like, pal one only said they liked my hair. They wouldn't go for someone like me. It's not like they want to marry me. But that one little thing you say hits them so hard. They stay thinking about it. Like, what did pal one mean when they said that? Like, could they like me? They're thinking about it a lot. And it's this feeling of, because you said it, that's all they need. Because it doesn't matter if 100 people tell them their hair looks terrible. Because you've said it looks nice, they're keeping it that way. That's all they need. Just you acknowledging them once in one small way. That small thing makes their day. It gives them this huge confidence boost, and they just feel on top of the world because you've given them attention and they're grateful for it. So they like you because of that intense impact you have on them. And with this Ace of Pentacles, they see so much potential with you. They see you as an investment. They see the opportunities and what you and them could grow to be. And I think that's actually kind of what's making them not want to go full steam ahead without observing you or without thinking things through at first, because they feel like they don't want to mess this up. Like, there's a lot at stake with this because they're not viewing you as a short-term thing. And maybe that's not something they experience a lot. But I think they view you as someone who is that calm to their chaos. And I'm not saying that's how you have to feel on the inside, because you can probably be chaotic too, but they like you because you do come across as very mature, as somebody stable, somebody with healthy boundaries. And I think they're not used to that, but they want to feel ready for it. It could just be scaring them a little bit because it's not like the connections they've been in before. Maybe this person is a tiny bit younger than you, although that certainly doesn't have to be the case. It could just be that you have more relationship experience, or at least healthy relationship experience. Like, they could have been in more relationships overall, but maybe they were like toxic or superficial relationships. So they could have been in like 10 relationships, and maybe you've only been in 2 relationships overall, but they were more long-term or secure relationships that allowed you to grow, and this person doesn't have that same experience. So the relationships, like the amount doesn't matter. It's more like what kind of relationships you both had separately. So they haven't been able to fully figure things out about themselves because their relationships haven't had chance to grow. So they're almost looking at you and how you show up, and they're like, wow, like this is a fully grown woman, or this is a fully grown man. Like, I can't use my old tricks on them. What do I do with that? They're not used to being put in that situation. Like, that's scary for them, but it's also very enticing. And it's also why they like you, because they see you as abundance itself. They see you as someone they could go the distance with. They see you as more reliable or more stable than they are. And that could be why they feel like they don't have much to give you right now if they're not in the most stable place. I think they see you as somebody who is very supportive as well. They might like how you treat other people, particularly if they know some of your friends. It could be that although you may have like a more stoic or reserved demeanor, they can sense that you have a very soft and compassionate center, and that you are a very giving and kind person. It could just be in terms of the way you interact. For some of you, maybe they like you because you always make the effort to be very kind to people. Like working in the service industry, for example, even small things like that they pick up on. If you make that extra effort, like, they notice it and they like it. But I think it could also be that they're used to dealing with maybe more attention-seeking people, and you come across as somebody more secure and maybe more humble. Like, you have so much going for you, but you're not constantly bragging about it. You just exist and people can see that you're giving. You don't have to talk about how amazing you are all the time. You're good at hyping other people up and giving people compliments. And you're not saying like, look at me, or acting insecure about it all the time. That could be something a little different about you that they really like and appreciate. With the Wheel of Fortune, I think they genuinely feel like there's something fated here. This connection with you, it's like they're falling for you because they feel like it's part of their path, like you're meant to be in a way. They could feel like you're their good luck charm, or that when they speak to you or when they get your attention, it makes their day. And again, it goes back to what we said about you having this impact on them. They like the impact you have in terms of making or breaking their day. Like, it's a good day when they come across you, and it's a bad day if they don't. It's almost making me think of Cassie in Euphoria. I know this is probably a bad example because that was all a little bit unhinged. But you know, like when she's putting on all the different outfits to try and get Nate's attention, and she just gets more and more elaborate with these outfits. It becomes more and more in your face. And if she can get one small reaction out of him, if he even acknowledges her, like he looks at her, she's buzzing. Like, she feels like that's a win. That's kind of the case with this person. They might do little things that seem inconsequential to get your attention, but if they notice you looking or glancing their way or even making a small comment on it, they're excited, they're happy. You have that big impact on them without really realizing it. So let's have a look at the next moves in terms of you and this connection, pile one. Okay, pile one. We have got Justice, we've got the King of Cups, and we've got the Chariot reversed. So Justice, King of Cups, and the Chariot reversed. Okay, they're going to try something they might have never done before, and that's going to be attempting to have an honest conversation. With this Justice, they're going to be coming clean with you about some of these feelings. You're going to be seeing this moment of integrity. You're going to be getting something genuine from them. For some of you, it might be on more of a grand scale, like a confession followed by a proposal. Not like a marriage proposal, at least not for most of you, because that's way too soon, but more of a proposal of like, where are we going from here, and them suggesting something tangible and making that plan. For others of you, this is just a moment, like a glimmer of truth, something that makes it clear to you how they are really feeling, even if they're not, actually asking you on that date. It's like you're going to know where you stand, and that's going to help you know more about what to do with that information, I want to say. I think it's maybe going to make you feel more in control and maybe them a bit less in control, because all of their little games haven't been working and they're exasperated with how it's worked out. So it's either them being like, you know what, like, let's just try a bit of honesty for once in my life, or this could be more of an unintentional honesty that slips out and it reveals these true feelings. Because with us getting this Chariot in reverse, I think usually when they approach someone with romantic feelings, there's some element of them feeling like they have the power or they're in control, because maybe usually they just get whoever they want, or they go for the safe option. They know how to turn on the charm and manipulate the conversation to how they want it to go. I think they've usually put a lot of thought into how to proceed, but with how they're approaching you, as much as they've thought about how they want to do it, as much as they've maybe tried to consider like a plan of action, it's like when this truth actually does come out, it doesn't go that way. Like, it's not a set in stone plan. And with that, like, they don't feel like they have the power. They don't feel like they're in control. Maybe they feel like they'd rather it didn't come out that way, or maybe they'll want to kind of take it back in that moment. This could be during a moment of powerlessness, either, heightened emotions, or maybe they've been drinking and they send you that message, or they like dump all these feelings and emotions out on you out of the blue. And maybe the next day they're like, shit, like I gave away my hand, or, I shouldn't have done that. But the thing is it's going to give you the clarity you need to act accordingly. And I think it's going to be quite reassuring for you in a way, because maybe you did like sense something with this person, and maybe you were like, am I going crazy because this person plays games with me, or they tease me, they're mean to me, they're not direct about liking me, they don't act like they like me. So maybe this is you realizing, it wasn't all in your head, you weren't imagining things, something comes unraveled, something is brought to light, justice is served, because you're like, I knew it. I knew there was something, but I didn't give in to their little games and their power plays. And on their end, it's like something forced them to give in to you. They won't want to, but something comes out that reveals their true feelings. Maybe it's even like if the two of you are on a night out together and they see someone approaching you or flirting with you, maybe that makes them so frustrated that they just have to come clean in that moment and say something. And maybe they tell you something that reveals their jealousy, or, they just make it clear that they don't like other people being around you. And maybe you're kind of sitting back like, oh, so why is that then? Like, why do you have a problem with it? And it all comes tumbling out. But it's something you knew deep down all along, but they just weren't really saying it. Maybe there could have been this little game of cat and mouse for quite a while, but nobody was really acknowledging it. But yeah, something about emotions is going to be talked about here. It doesn't have to be them being really dramatic and saying like, pal one, I'm in love with you and I've been in love with you since the moment we met, let's get married. Like, it doesn't have to be that intense. But I think it's going to be more than just the physical of like this person telling you that they're attracted to you. I think there's going to be some focus on feelings. Even if it's just this person confessing that they're jealous when other people talk to you, that's a feeling. You don't normally get that jealous if you're just physically attracted to somebody. Usually you have to feel some kind of connection with them to feel that jealousy. So this could be revealed, but you're going to be in this energy of like, I knew it. But I think you're also going to be kind of endeared by this, because maybe you're like, wow, like this is the first time you've been honest and you haven't tried to play games. You know, it's like this person will be coming across as more mature to you by using their head and their heart and having a conversation about what they're thinking and feeling. And that appeals to your need for directness and your need for those genuine, authentic conversations. I mean, all this time they could have been doing that. Maybe this person, like due to their own insecurities, feels like they can't be fully authentic. Maybe if they do struggle with people pleasing or anything. And maybe when people try too hard to get people to like them, it kind of puts you off, like that's not really your bag. But when this person shows that they can sit down and be authentic and honest, you're like, okay, like I can see this person's good intentions coming through. I think you like that about them. It allows that soft spot you have to get a little bit bigger. So that is what I'm getting for the tarot portion of your reading, pile one. We are just going to finish this reading with a little bit of closing guidance from the Beach Time Soul Oracle. So let's have a look at what we pulled for you. Okay, pile one, let's have a look at what we've got. So we have got healthy choices, making healthy choices in love and in life, self-love, self-care, and being happier. So I think the main message in this is just to continue doing you, keep doing what you're doing, keep focusing on your self-care, on looking after yourself, throwing yourself into your hobbies and interests or your work, spending time with friends and just truly enjoying your life. Because the thing about you, pal one, is that you'll be fine with or without this person. And what I wouldn't want you to do is lower yourself and your morals to get embroiled in anyone else's games when you know that that's just not you. And when I say games, again, with this person, I don't think the things they do to try and get your attention are done with any kind of like malicious intent. I think they're just a little bit insecure or sensitive of perceived rejection. But what I'm getting is that you yourself do not have to do anything differently to be noticed. Like you're already getting this person's attention just by being the way you are and just by existing. And I do think that this person needs to make these moves in their own time. And you, by kind of refusing to engage in whatever cat and mouse game they want to play with you, by not bowing down to their charms or getting caught up in their web, by not acknowledging their cries for attention, it's teaching them something. You're allowing them to grow and learn and how to step up and communicate in a healthy way, because ultimately, if they want you, that's going to be what they have to do, because you won't accept anything less. You're not chasing them, basically. You might feel a little bit tangled up in it all, especially if you don't normally have soft spots for people like this. You might check on them occasionally, you might be feeling this little bit of a storm on the inside. And some of this could be in relation to them like having manifested you, like they're popping into your head because they're thinking of you so much. There could be that element of telepathy and times where you're like, you know, like, why am I thinking about this person? So maybe they have got you a little bit off kilter too, but at the end of the day, like you're not putting your life on hold for them, I think is the thing. If they want to come to you and be honest, they need to step up and do that. But if they're not, just focus on the things that you enjoy doing and the things that make you feel the best version of yourself. So if that means eating healthy, nourishing your body, maybe taking any frustration, like perhaps the physical frustration of not having any physical release yet, when it comes to this person, but feeling that pull, maybe make the healthy choice and take it out at the gym. I mean, I know when we need that physical release, working out isn't going to come and solve that, but maybe it'll make you tired, so you're not going to sleep thinking about this person in that kind of way. Or, you know, just have some alone time with a toy, with yourself, because sometimes that can give you a little bit of clarity. Like, sometimes that's exactly what you need. But yeah, equally, you know, if this person isn't showing initiative, you're not tied to them. Go out on dates, get to know different people, spend time out and about or with your friends. You're not the kind of person who sits around waiting for someone, and I think they know that. So definitely don't feel bad about just doing you, because if they want you, they're going to have to approach you correctly. But in the meantime, you're just going to be doing what's best for you and making these healthy choices. So that is what I'm getting for you for your reading part one. I really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did like the reading, please like the video. Please, if that's all possible, leave me a little comment. Let me know what resonated, or just tell me which pile you picked if you don't want to do that. And if that's all possible, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. That would just mean the absolute world to me, and I would appreciate it so much. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, pal one. Hi, Pal 2 Collective. If you chose Pal 2 and you chose the Queer Tarot and you chose the pumpkin sticker, you are in the right place. Welcome to your reading, friends. If you would like a full breakdown regarding what to expect in this reading, then please check out the introduction, but we are about to get started with the oracle portion right now. So we are going to be popping your tarot cards to one side just for now so we can focus on the oracle reading. So let's get started and have a look at what we pulled for you, Pal 2. Okay, pile 2, we have got strategy, planning, prediction, mind reading. We have got passion. We have got protect your dreams. You are the guardian of your precious dreams and they are safe in your care. Keep them close to your heart until you're ready to release them. And we have preparation. I like to start off by briefly mentioning the numbers on the cards in case any of these are significant for you. That doesn't have to be the case, but it could just be that these numbers are relevant in terms of dates, ages, synchronicities that you are seeing a lot of, angel numbers, etc. It's just a little bit of extra confirmation in case that does apply. So we have number 7, number 48, and number 37 showing up here. So with this pile, I am getting a couple of different scenarios coming through at this stage. Similarly to pile 1, I do think there's a possibility that this is a newer person, some kind of secret crush, and that somebody is preparing to approach you. However, with that said, there is something about a couple of these cards that is kind of throwing me off and making me think that for some of you, this is likely to be someone where a connection, like even just a physical connection, has been established previously. And this person is going to want to rekindle things, so they're strategizing when it comes to that. And for some of you, it could even be both. Like maybe there's this new person who is interested, but maybe there's this other person who is still interested. It's going to be different things for different people. You know, that is a possibility. Like we say, it could be this new crush and you really don't know that they like you because it's taken them a while to get ready and come out with that. But for a lot of you, I think this is going to be someone from the past, but it's more maybe like someone you were in a talking stage with that never really got off the ground, a situationship, friends with benefits, some kind of casual or short-term connection that maybe didn't materialize into anything else. So maybe just someone where there's been a lot of flirting, but it hasn't really got to that romantic stage even, that could apply. So I know that covers a lot of different situations, but you know, sometimes we go through a lot of complicated situations. Hopefully we're going to get more into the specifics, but that's just what I'm getting at a glance. And when I said like something was throwing me off, and that there could be more to this situation, it's mainly because of the protect your dreams and the passion card. Because with protect your dreams, it's making me think that someone here is in a very guarded or protected energy. And it could very well be the case that that is like just your personality, or that is this person's personality, or both. Like maybe you're both a little reluctant to open up. Maybe neither person really wears their heart on their sleeve and that's just kind of how it is. But for others of you, it could be that this protect your dreams is showing up because something got started with someone and maybe that situation felt like it distracted you from your goals or your dreams in some way. It could also be indicating that although there was a connection, although there was this passion, maybe you and this person weren't on the same page when it came to this long-term vision. And so if you were to be with this person, it feels like you would have to abandon some of your dreams to a degree. It doesn't have to be on like a grand scale, but one bigger example of this could be like one person wanting kids and the other person not wanting kids. So you knew, although it was fun in the moment, like it could never go anywhere. Or maybe even somebody moving soon and not wanting to make this long distance, or feeling like they would have to abandon their career dreams, for example, to relocate just to make this work. Something about somebody's dream being pushed to one side to try and make this work. But for those of you where this is on like a less life-changing scale, where it's not a big thing like that, it could just be that when you were in a situation with this person, it felt like you were abandoning a part of yourself because maybe it made you figure out you don't want to do casual, so you had to take a step back. You know, it doesn't have to be that specific example. It could be like your dream was to have a secure and stable relationship and this person prioritized chaos or those big up and down moments. Maybe they were quite emotionally dysregulated and you couldn't stay true to yourself or what you wanted by being with them. It feels like there's just some reason why this can't work, but the passion is there, the physical chemistry is there. You and this person could be extremely compatible in a physical way if you have had chance to explore that. And if you haven't, they think that you would work together like that. You can tell that it would just be fireworks right off the bat or something. That is what they're thinking. If you haven't explored this physically, you know, maybe it's just something to do with body language, some kind of slight touch, like a grazing of hands or eye contact. It's charged, like those moments are charged with this person. You can just tell that something feels hot when they're around. It feels intense, and I think this person probably fantasizes a lot about you in that way, regardless of whether you've been there and done it or not. And for some of you, not to call you out, but it's like this physical connection could be the reason for you going back. Like even if you knew it was a little bit toxic, or it couldn't be a long-term thing. Maybe that's the reason you were with this person. Like, you know it's toxic, but the D or the V is fire. Like, it just is. I mean, we've all been there, so no judgments from me. But with this strategy and preparation coming through, this person is planning some kind of big return. If it's a new crush, they're figuring out how to tell you. But if it's this past person, they're very much figuring out how to get back into your life, because for some of you, it's like you're not really talking. And if you are talking, it's not what it was. It's like that ship has sailed on your end, maybe. So they're working out how to get that back, or maybe how to show up in a new energy to prove that they're coming in differently this time. So for some of you, it's like you're cool with this person, you'll make small talk with them, you'll be friendly if you see them day to day, but it's not a thing. And for others of you, it is more like you had a thing and now you've stopped speaking, or you don't follow each other, or someone is blocked, for example. But whatever the situation, they're working out how they can get back with you and getting back in your good books. So maybe some of you are teachers, or you work in an educational setting of some kind, or maybe that's this person. I'm not sure. But if it's this person who you're fine at making small talk with, but it's nothing more, they're wondering how they can get you into them again. And now I'm hearing they want to come back for another round. They want another round with you, take it however it resonates. But I think, that makes sense with this passion. But if it's that person who is blocked, they are just working out how they can get you to unblock them. But I think they are kind of focusing on this action plan. I mean, the fact that they're having to implement a strategy here says to me that they are dead set on wanting this thing to progress with you. But how they're going to make it happen is going to be dependent on the connection between you guys, why or how things ended last time, if that applies, and whether or not you're on good terms right now. But with this strategy, this could be a person who does kind of like to play games, like they find it fun. But I think one thing I'm getting, and I feel like I've had this come through in other readings before, but it's like with you, they met their match. So if they're going to play games, it's like you can play better. And now I'm getting Chun-Li by Nicki Minaj. There's this line where she's like, you played checkers, couldn't beat me playing chess, and now everybody is like, she really is the best. It's something like that. So I'm feeling like some of you kind of showed this person up by matching their energy, and they weren't expecting it. Yeah, I don't think they were expecting this from you, because maybe you were good to this person, or you're good to people in general until they give you a reason not to be. But it's like, if this person tried to play you in any kind of way, you were kind of like, oh, okay, like that's how we're going to do it. And maybe you played them right back. I think you can be petty when it feels justified to do so. And if this was a person who hurt you, maybe you felt slighted by them initially, but now the energy you're in, it's like they're the one feeling hurt. Maybe they're feeling like they missed their chance in some way. As one example, maybe they tried to make you jealous or something, and at first, perhaps this was hurtful to you, but now it's like you've moved on, and wherever they see you, you're looking really good. You're looking very attractive. You've gotten better and better, and they have a lot of this passion towards you, but maybe they see you talking to or entertaining other people, and they're the ones getting jealous or something like that. I think this passion could manifest as anger in a way if they see you interacting with other people. So now they're working on this action plan and focusing on it heavily, because they have to get you to be with them. They're passionate about making it work, but I think they feel like they have to have something big to give to you. Oh, I didn't mean it like that. But I think they feel like they have to prepare to do something different. That's what I wanted to say. They can't just waltz back in. Like, they have to make it clear that they're serious about pursuing you. They're really working on this. They're really thinking about it. I'm getting mercurial vibes from this, or air sign vibes with this strategy. That doesn't have to be the case, but this could be the kind of person to logic their way out of things. Maybe they are more logical than they are emotional. I mean, maybe this is one reason why you may have felt like it wouldn't work. If they are less emotionally mature or less open with their emotions, maybe you felt like they just tend to rationalize everything. But yeah, they are preparing something for you. I don't know what it is, but they're doing something. I think, they've been thinking like, what should I say to pal 2? How do I start or restart this conversation? What energy should I approach in? And they might be overthinking it. Maybe they are an overthinker generally, and like, this about them. But yeah, that's what I'm getting. So let's have a look at the astro dice and we'll see which signs are coming through. We've got Aries. Okay, we've got Aries coming through. Roll 2. We've got Pisces. And we've got Capricorn. So we have Aries, Pisces, and Capricorn coming through. Let's have a little look at the houses. We have the 7th house. Okay, so yeah, like house of relationship. So, this could be somebody who you have a prior connection with. It doesn't have to be like they were your boyfriend or girlfriend or something like that, but just somebody who you had a connection, someone who is pre-established in your life, basically, someone who you have had some kind of relationship with. It doesn't have to be that it got to a romantic stage. It could have just been, like we said, a flirtationship, but somebody where there is something there has been like a connection with this person. Let's roll again and see what else we're getting. 10th house. Okay, so Capricorn house. I think we got Capricorn when we rolled the dice with the signs on. Maybe something about public reputation being significant to this connection in some way. Maybe some of you, like, it couldn't go further because of what other people would think. I don't know why I'm getting that, but there could be something about that here, like you keeping this more of a secret, this being like a down low thing, or maybe somebody being focused on their career with it being like a Capricorn house. That would make sense as well. Like, I know I said air signs in the oracle reading, and I still stand by that. I think like I was definitely getting that very logical air sign energy, but Capricorn as well can be very, very strategic in terms of their goals, in terms of the things they want to go after, the things they want to achieve. So I could definitely see how that would apply, and the 10th house showing up. There's a lot of Capricorn energy coming through here. So let's roll once more and just see what else we get. Pile 2. We've got the 11th house, so something to do with community. Maybe this is a friend of a friend, somebody who you see when you are out and about, a part of your local community in some way. Maybe this is somebody who lives, relatively nearby to you, or you just see them when you're out and about with people, like mutual acquaintances, something like that. If it's not that, it could also be like somebody who you were initially talking to online, an online connection. I always associate the 11th house and like that kind of Aquarius energy with, online stuff. It might just be relevant for a few of you. None of these have to apply. It's just like a little bit of extra confirmation before we get into the tarot. But with that said, I think we are ready to move on to the tarot. So I hope you are enjoying the reading so far. And yeah, let's get started with your tarot, pal two. Hi pal 2 collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. As I mentioned in the introduction, this reading is going to be in a slightly different format to my usual readings, in that we are going to be asking 4 questions in the tarot portion of this reading, and we are just going to be looking at 3 cards at a time to answer each one of these questions. So if you're wondering why it's in a slightly different format, that's why. But yeah, check out the introduction if you want to know more about that, or if you're confused. So I'm just going to pop the sticker to one side, and I'm going to pop the cards here. But we are going to be looking at the first 3 cards, and this will be representative of this person's energy. So a slightly deeper dive on this person's energy, how they are feeling towards you and this connection. So let's have a look at what we got, pal 2. Okay. We have got Judgment. We have got the 3 of Swords. And we have got the Knight of Swords in reverse. Okay, so this person has definitely been reflecting on their interactions with you, and they are desperate to renew something here with this Judgment. Expanding on what we said in the oracle, I am definitely leaning towards, this person is somebody who you did have some kind of a thing with, even if it didn't get to that romantic stage, even if it was just flirting. I think it's somebody who you know about, somebody in your life who you are aware of, you have had interactions with. With this 3 of Swords, it's just making me think there's like a little more to this than this being just a new person. I'm not saying both can't apply. It could be that, you have many people interested in you, and amongst them, there could be new people, there could be a new person. I'm not saying that's not the case, but I think this past person's energy is coming through stronger. So obviously I do have to be honest about what I'm seeing. And I really, really don't know why, because this has never come through before when I've looked at this particular card in the past. But I'm called to talk about it because maybe it is relevant to somebody out there. But when I looked at this Judgment card, I wanted to start singing that Age of Aquarius song by the Fifth Dimension, but specifically, I kept thinking about the scene where that song comes on at the end of The 40-Year-Old Virgin. I used to love that film, but I haven't seen it in years, so the fact it would just pop into my head now feels significant for some reason. So maybe that film or themes of that film relate to you or this person in some way, or just that song, or even the actors or actresses. Steve Carell, Seth Rogen, I think, is in it as well. I can't remember who else. It's been such a long time since I saw it. Paul Rudd, I think he's in it as well. So maybe it's something about films with those actors, like maybe, you know, this person introduced you to The Office or you introduce them or something like that. It doesn't have to apply. It might just be like a little bit of extra confirmation for some of you. But I don't know, I just wanted to say that because it was making me laugh for some reason. Like I just couldn't stop thinking about that scene. So I thought I should mention it, and it's probably not going to be relevant to anyone, but at least now you have some insight that you didn't want into my brain. Now, in terms of themes, you know, that's not me saying this person is a 40-year-old virgin, but there could definitely be something about this person being insecure in terms of their experience or something like that. And I'm getting the phrase like they talk a good game. So it could be, for those of you where you haven't had a chance to explore things physically, it could be like the chemistry was there, the flirting was good, the back and forth, all of that. But when things got real, maybe for some of you, this person pulled back because they were afraid they weren't going to be able to live up to some of the things they described or what you talked about in that way. Maybe they promised you something in your messages, but then they dipped out because they didn't feel like they could deliver in person or something like that. Or for some of you, if you did have that physical thing, maybe it's like they felt like they didn't really bring their A game to the table and that embarrassed them. It was a shot to their ego, so perhaps they retreated a little bit, and that's when things maybe felt a little bit off, things got a little bit awkward. So this person could know how to flirt, but they almost get into situations by accident where perhaps they feel like they've promised too much and they can't live up to it or something. And it doesn't have to be in terms of like the bedroom or that kind of chemistry. It just could be like they promised the world but they didn't deliver. Like they were the kind of person who's like, oh, I'll take you here, we'll do XYZ, we'll go on this date, we'll do this, and then it just didn't really happen. But the reason I'm saying that, and the reason I was maybe focusing on the physical, is because, you know, it's reminding me of the 40-year-old virgin when Steve's character Andy is talking to the blonde girl at the store, and he's kind of socially awkward, and she's like, can I help you? And he's like, I don't know, can you? And then she's like, you know, are you looking for something? And he's like, is there something I should be looking for? I think he's been encouraged by his friends to like ask questions, and obviously he's finding it awkward, but she interprets this as confidence or like mystery, so it actually works on her. She thinks he's going to show her a good time by the things he's saying because he comes across as very like blunt, I guess. Meanwhile, he's obviously very inexperienced, like we know that as the audience. So maybe that's a little like this person. They feel like they can't live up to these things that they're saying, and they just come across with a bit of like this false confidence. So it's like when they've said too much, they kind of want to pull back, like, oh shit, I've landed myself in it now and I can't live up to all these things that I'm saying. And it's like when the character of Andy does actually really like someone, he doesn't want to tell her about his lack of experience because he's worried it will put her off, so he doesn't come clean about it right away. And I think in turn she also misinterprets his interest in learning about female anatomy as like this weird obsession. So that could be relevant here. Not that this person has a weird obsession, but maybe you interpreted this as them, you know, just wanting the physical experience and that's it. But it could actually be that they kind of got scared over the fact that they did want more, or that they actually cared, or maybe they just felt embarrassed by their performance physically. It could be any number of things, but I do think this person wouldn't be the kind to ever admit that. Like, I don't even think they would want to admit that to themselves. Like, with this Knight of Swords especially, you know, I think this person could be kind of rude or tactless when they feel like their ego is bruised. Maybe they try and flip it onto the other person or something like that. And I think sometimes they're scared that you'll essentially, like, figure them out. So when it feels like they're being a little too nice, they'll turn around and say something rude or mean, almost to like balance the scales, and so that you don't see that they can be a sensitive person or something like that. But this person is having to take a long, hard look at themselves. They're having to do some self-evaluation because they're grieving this situation with the Three of Swords. They are in their feelings about this. And the thing is, like, this is their energy toward you, but this is heartbreak. So it's like they feel heartbroken by you, but honestly, I'm feeling like this is a situation that they put themselves in. It's giving me just one example, and it doesn't have to be this specific one, but it's kind of reminding me of like, do you know when you see those threads on Reddit where somebody is like, I opened my relationship up and now I regret it, or something like that? And usually the situation is some guy putting pressure on his wife to have an open relationship. And by the way, I have nothing against open relationships whatsoever, but obviously, you know, both parties should be giving enthusiastic consent. Nobody should feel pressured to do that if it's not for them. But at first they'll be like, My wife was against it and I convinced her it would be a good idea. And it was great at first because, I was going out and seeing all these people, and my wife, she wasn't into it. So she just wasn't seeing anyone. She was staying at home. But then a few months down the line, I wasn't getting any dates, and my wife started getting all kinds of dates and not coming home and talking about how much fun she was having. And then I wanted to close the relationship and she said no. What should I do? And it's kind of like, well, you fucked around and found out, essentially. So I guess one example could be like you and this person having some kind of undefined situationship or relationship going on. Like maybe the two of you are acting as though you're together when you're not really together or something like that. And maybe there's a little bit of sadness on your end at first because maybe when you try to have a conversation about, making it more than casual or defining it, maybe this person insists that they want to keep their options open. So maybe you agree to like amicably end it. You think that would be for the best. Or maybe like they start talking to someone else and that makes it clear where you stand, that they're not that into you or something, as one example. And you're kind of like, well, that's shit, but it is what it is. You might be upset about it for a bit, but then you move on. And maybe you're in a good place where you're just having fun. You've got lots of options. You're focusing on you. And now suddenly this person is realizing that they want to be with you. So they don't like you having options and they feel heartbroken. They feel like it's the worst thing in the world, even if it's what they did to you. They don't like it when the shoe is on the other foot, is what I'm getting. And I think they're feeling pretty restless right now because they feel like there's a time limit. And maybe that is the case if you're currently getting to know other people, like if there's a new person who's also interested in you, if you've been talking to someone, but it's like they can't settle until they know you're back talking to them, something like that. And they do want to take action toward you, but it feels like they're a little bit more impulsive right now. They could be going out a lot. You could get an unexpected message or friend request. I'm not sure, because this is just their energy read, like how they're feeling, and they are in a little bit of an impulsive energy, so you never know. But yeah, like let's have a look at your energy in terms of this situation and this connection. Let's see how you're feeling about it. Okay, pile two. So we have the 10 of Cups reversed. We have the Star. And we have the World. Yeah, so with this 10 of Cups in reverse, I think you felt a disconnect with this individual. It could have been that things were going well at one point, but somebody started playing games or somebody pulled back, and it made you realise that you were no longer on the same page. I think you're concerned about this person's values being misaligned with yours, because there could have been one point where you did see a lot of potential. You thought it could be something long lasting, but they detached and you were like, well, maybe this person doesn't want what I want, so I don't think that I should try and force it. And this could have been a hurtful experience because I do think you thought there was honestly something special about this connection initially. But honestly, like, I think you have been very much focusing on you with this Star card. Like, you have been glowing up, you've been working on yourself. And the Star comes after the Tower. So it's like, after this period of potential destruction comes a period of renewal. It's this welcome reprieve from chaos. So maybe after the chaos of the situation with this person, it was almost a relief to come out of that, because as much as the experience might have been a knock to your self-esteem at the time, you're kind of like, now I don't have to worry about this person. Now I can just focus on me and be who I'm meant to be. Like, your eggs are no longer in their basket or something like that. And the thing is, you have just been doing you and you're not chasing anything. There might have been a time where you were kind of calling out to the universe to see where you stand with this person, like you were praying for them to text you back or something like that. But now it's like you release that attachment. You honestly are not caring as much. You're just doing you. And it's almost like this person senses that, because it's very attractive to many people, but particularly it's like this person can feel that energy and the fact you're focusing on yourself and opportunities, not just them. But in a way, it's interesting because I think this has restored your faith and optimism in a way, because you kind of knew in the back of your mind that things weren't fully over with this person. I think you kind of felt like, well, they might not want me right now, but they will. You knew that they would circle back to you. You knew they'd get bored of fooling around and playing around and that they'd want your attention again. So it's hard to know exactly how you are feeling about giving them another chance. But one thing I will say is that you do feel vindicated in a way, because you knew that this would happen. You knew that the last time wasn't the last time. It's that kind of feeling. And with this world, it kind of feels like an accomplishment, because it's feeling like you have the power. And these interactions shouldn't be about power. Obviously, they should be about genuine connection and love. But it's like this person ultimately tried to make it into a power play. They tried to make it into a game, and now they're losing because they're just seeing you doing you and they're wondering how they could get you back. And I think they've been through their own little awakening. They're doing an entire reassessment of their self and their identity, and maybe considering why they did push you away and whether that was to do with certain deeper feelings they were embarrassed by, something they were scared to show. There's this sense from you, though, of like, I'm getting the phrase, things have come full circle here. Like, one minute you felt like you were chasing them, and I don't mean you were literally chasing them, like sending them 10,000 messages, but even energetically, let's say, maybe there was one stage where you were sort of checking up on them or wishing they'd contact you during those times when you were unsure about the situation. And now it's like that cycle has ended. Now they're pursuing you. Now they're unsure if you'll want anything to do with them. And you're kind of like, I knew this would happen, because I actually think you are a very powerful manifester, but often these manifestations present themselves when you don't even want them anymore. And I think that kind of could be the stage you're in. But I'm not going to lie, like, it does feel vindicating to you at the same time. So it's like, for example, you could be getting to know somebody else, or that is something you're going to be doing this coming fall if like a new person hasn't come into your life at this stage. And maybe you do think you could have more of a solid future with this new person, but then this old person tries to slide back in. And it's like, you're saying to yourself, you know, a few months ago, I would have begged to hear from them, but now I don't feel the need. You're more nonchalant about it. Maybe you're excited when you get the message, but it's not that feeling of like, my life depends on whether this person messages me or not. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel as all-consuming as it once did. It could be that you still do feel a strong pull towards this person, but you're debating what's going to be the best option for you. And like, essentially, do you see it working in the long term? Because if, as one example, you want kids and you know this person doesn't, or the other way around, but maybe the new person wants the same thing as you might be debating what is best for your long-term future. And that could be very frustrating for you, because maybe you feel more chemistry with this past person and you're like, you know, if only they wanted the same things as me, if only our values aligned that way, it would be perfect. But I think you're wanting to make the healthy and healing choice for yourself, and you're trying not to make a choice where your dreams and what you want for your life has to go on the back burner to accommodate this person. You don't want to make yourself lesser to accommodate them, essentially. Okay, so we've had a little look at your energy, pal 2. Overall, this has been so far a kind of confusing energy, and I do think you are in this state of confusion over this, or maybe you will be when this happens. But I hope this is relating for somebody out there. But let's try and get a little bit more clarity. Let's have a look at what they like about you, pal 2. Okay, pal 2. We have got the Six of Pentacles reversed. We've got the Hanged Man. And we've got the Seven of Wands. This is so funny, pal 2, because as soon as I looked at these cards with the Six of Pentacles in reverse, I'm getting that they're falling for you because you're giving them nothing. Like, you literally just haven't been paying attention to them and they're so stressed about it. I don't think they can believe it, particularly, you know, if you were once generous with your time, with your attention, you're making them feel like they need to be groveling at your feet, begging for spare change. And honestly, maybe some of them do need to do some groveling. Obviously, it depends on your situation. And I just want you to know you don't have to give anyone a chance if they treated you poorly, pal 2. That is not what these readings are about. I just want to give you clarity more than anything. But it might, again, like, feel vindicating for you to find out how this person is feeling. And I think that's the thing. It's like, they know that you know your worth. You've been practicing self-care and they can see this. Maybe a lot of you have been leveling up and externally this shows. Maybe a lot of you have been doing your little fitness routine or just really taking care of yourself, and this is apparent to the outside world. So they like you because, you know, you're turning up looking good every day, but you're not really giving them the time of day. And they're almost looking at you in awe because they can't believe that they fumbled the bag, essentially. And now you're not playing ball. They like you because you're so focused on you, because you're ignoring them. You're just staying in your own lane. And they're falling for you because it seems like a challenge to pursue you with the Seven of Wands, and because they feel like they're in competition with other people to get you. So be careful with this person. Like, if you know they can be a little bit toxic like that, if this is the kind of person who you know is only so into you because they can't have you or because you've moved on, but you know they just like the chase, they like the challenge, and once they actually have it, they're not interested. If this is a pattern that this person is stuck in because they have an avoidant or an anxious avoidant attachment style or something like that, obviously just take that into consideration. But I'm not saying it has to be just that, maybe them taking some time away from the situation has genuinely allowed them to truly reflect on what they want and they have come to a decision that that is you, but they feel like on your end, that ship has sailed. But I mean, with this hangman, it's making me think like they're falling for you more because you've let go, because you've surrendered. And it's making me think of what we said about releasing attachment to the outcome when we manifest something. I mean, maybe there was a period of time where this person thought you would always be around, like you would always be an option to fall back on or something like that. So maybe now you've distanced yourself, they're worried that you're moving further away because they never expected you to detach like that. And this could apply in a friends with benefits situation if the idea of being more was ever explored. This doesn't have to apply, but just as one example, if you kind of said to them at one point, like, should we actually elevate this from a friendship level? Like, should we actually try dating and see where it goes? And this person said, like, no, I think we should stay friends, but, maybe if we're single and we're both in the mood, we can hit each other up for a good time, but let's like keep it casual, that kind of thing. And maybe this person was okay with that arrangement until you started saying no to their requests to hang out or you started dating someone more seriously. Maybe it made them realize something. So they could feel you pulling away from them, and now suddenly they're the one realizing, like, maybe I did want it to be more. Like, why did I say no to that? For some of you, it could feel like they've lost a friend as well as a potential romance, so that could be making them change their perspective on something. But I think they're falling for you because you really do make them change their perspective. You make them think of things they've never seriously thought about before, and you make them assess what they want with their future. I also think they feel like oddly protective over you, and they don't normally get that way. Maybe if they thought it was just friends and then they find out you're getting to know someone, that's made them realize that the feelings are actually deeper because they're like, why am I so protective or territorial over pal 2? They're not mine. But maybe they figured out they really want you to be. It just feels like there's a lot of obstacles in the way right now, though. So, those are really the main messages I'm getting when it comes to why they're falling for you. But let's have a look at their next actions, pile 2. Okay, pile 2. We have got the Page of Wands. We have got the Ten of Swords. And we have got the King of Swords. Okay, well, I think they are going to come forward with a truth, but they're probably going to have a little bit of a breakdown leading up to it. Like, they're kind of going to be in crisis mode with this Ten of Swords. We have to acknowledge that. And it's funny because, this Ten of Swords often speaks of like deep wounds and betrayal, but there's something here. I think with this being paired with two fairly like positive cards overall, it's making me think it's not that heavy, but it's more to do with their ego and them being embarrassed or something like that. And it could be to do with them feeling like they're betraying themselves, especially if they like to present themselves in one type of way or they're the kind of person to play games or whatever. I don't know. I think being honest and saying something heartfelt can actually be quite difficult and stressful for them. So it's almost like they'll send the text, but then they want to go and cower and hide, and they're almost led there like, I'm dead, I'm literally dead. They say something and they're like, oh, this is so embarrassing, like this is so humiliating. That's what they're saying to themselves because maybe nobody else has made them want to be truthful or reveal their feelings like this, and it's all alien to them in a way. So they say something heartfelt, but then immediately they're like, oh, this is so cringe. Like, they kind of give themselves the ick with it. They're that kind of person. It's just making me think of someone saying something and then wanting to like take it all back, or being like, I can't believe I just did that. So, sending that text and then throwing their phone across the room and then going and hiding in bed, like cowering under the covers, not wanting to acknowledge that they just put themselves out there in that kind of way. But with the Page of Wands, this person right now does feel inspired to take action. You are inspiring them to want to say something. And the Page of Wands talks about discovery. It talks about someone being inquisitive. So it could be like they come towards you asking certain questions. Maybe they're trying to find out about who else you're talking to, if that applies, or something like that. They know that there's competition. They know that there might be a challenge here, but they really do see the potential in this. They're wanting it to go somewhere, and I think they are trying to be optimistic that they can make something happen. They definitely don't view this as being over, and although they're sort of terrified by it, I do think they are going to ultimately say something, like they feel as though they have to. Maybe it's taken them this period of going inwards and this kind of breakdown to see the truth and to want to take decisive action with the King of Swords. even if they think you're going to reject them, it's like they are feeling this desire to be true to themselves now, and they know what they want, and they know that it's you. They feel like this is something they just have to do, so they're remaining firm in their conviction, and they know that ultimately you could say no, but they know they regret it if they didn't tell you. They couldn't see the truth before, but now they can, and so they're feeling like they're going to need to do something about it. So that is really what I am getting for you, Powerful. This message did feel quite straightforward, other than them being a little bit embarrassed and a little bit ashamed of what they're about to say and feeling like it's a little bit cringe or that it's out of character. I think they are going to want to go ahead and do something. So we will get some closing guidance for you in just a moment. But on your end, if you know that you need to prioritize your long-term future and that it is definitely over with this person, if you know that they've done something where you wouldn't want to give them another chance, I am sorry that this energy came through very strongly on this reading. It doesn't mean that you don't have other options. It could just be, confirmation for you to know how this person is truly feeling. And you are always welcome to choose a different pile if you want to maybe focus on that new energy that could come through in another pile. So feel free to give that a go. I don't know why. I do just feel the need to apologize because I don't really know where you stand on this other than how you are feeling about yourself and prioritizing your self-care. But I do have to be honest about what's coming through. So yeah, let's get some closing guidance and we'll see what that says. Okay, pal two, let's have a look at this card from the Beach Time Soul Oracle. This will be your closing guidance for this reading. So we have got addiction, codependent, obsession, possession, controlling, has a block, restraint. Okay. Yeah, this makes sense with what we talked about. This person could be dealing with an addiction of some kind, and if it's not an addiction, it could just potentially be a pattern of behavior that isn't the healthiest, and maybe this is something that is worrying you in terms of pursuing things with them. Like, if this person is obsessed with that push and pull dynamic, like with the dopamine of chasing somebody and they're viewing you as a conquest or more like a possession, maybe that's something you're really having to consider and think about when it comes to this connection and what is best for you. Because I think you have done a lot of work to heal and to step into this best version of yourself. You've been putting a lot of emphasis on your self-care. And I don't think you're willing to be put in a position where this person is leading you away from that. So you are perhaps being cautious, you are being guarded, and we did get that coming through in the oracle, like you're protecting your heart, you're protecting your dreams. And yeah, I think it does go back to what we were saying in terms of you protecting those dreams. If what you yearn for is this stable foundation and this person isn't in a position to give you that, then please prioritize your needs and what you value in a relationship, because ultimately, you can't fix anyone or force them to be a version of themselves that they're not able to be. I think this person did have some kind of block in terms of their communication, in terms of their avoidance. It could be that they tend to want what they can't have, and that's kind of playing on your mind because you're like, do they only like me because I'm unattainable now? And honestly, it's going to be different for each individual, and only you know in your gut what the answer to that is. I do truly believe that people can work on unhealthy attachment styles. I think the majority of people are not a lost cause. I know because I've done that myself. I think many of us have. The people we might choose as partners now aren't going to be the same people we chose 10 or 15 years ago or whatever, because you grow up, your values change. You might prioritize emotional maturity and true connection over that push and pull dynamic of excitement. If you've worked on yourself, there's going to come a time where you start craving that healthy connection above anything else. And maybe you have done the work in that way. And maybe that's also the case for this person. Like, you know them, pal too, and I don't. So you know the energy they're in at the moment. You'll be able to feel this in your gut. But for some of you, maybe they have truly reflected, they've done their work, they've figured out what they want, and it is truly you. But equally, they could just think it's what they want because they can't have you right now. It totally depends on this person and your dynamic with them. But these feelings on their end are genuine, like they are feeling all of this. But I don't know whether it is from a place of, true love and connection, or just because they can't have you in this moment. Like, that's not for me to say. But ultimately, you have worked very hard to take care of yourself. And I think your needs and what you want your future to look like with or without a partner should take precedent here. So that is what I am getting for your reading, pal two. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did enjoy the reading, please like the video. If at all possible, please comment and tell me what resonated. Even if it's just to tell me what pile you picked, that is all very helpful to me. And if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. All of that would just mean the absolute world to me, and I would appreciate it so, so much. Thank you for being here, pal two, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Hi, Pal 3 Collective. If you chose Pal 3 and you chose the Good Karma Tarot and you chose the chicken in a jumper sticker, you are in the right place. Welcome to your reading, friends. If you would like a full breakdown regarding what to expect in this reading, then please check out the introduction, but we are about to get started with the oracle portion right now. So we are actually going to be popping your tarot cards to one side for now so we can focus on these oracle cards. So let's get started and have a look at what we pulled for you, Pal 3. Okay, we have got promise, responsible, confirmation, assurance. We have got emotion, cucumber. We have got precious time. The fairy of time wants you to experience every moment fully and to make the most of your precious time. Be mindful not to waste others' time either. And we have distraction. I like to start off by briefly mentioning the numbers on the cards in case any of these are significant to you in terms of dates or ages, synchronicities, angel numbers, etc. That does not have to apply, but it's just a little bit of extra confirmation if it does. So we have number 28, number 4, and number 15. So it's interesting, the phrase I keep getting in my head when I'm looking at these cards, Pal 3, is, am I just a distraction? So it could be that somebody within this connection is kind of looking for reassurance right now, that the situation they're in can deepen in some way. And I've had this distraction card come up in other readings, and I usually don't get that phrase. I don't necessarily interpret it that way, but there's a feeling like with this precious time card of somebody being worried that they're wasting their time on something that isn't going to progress. So I'm getting the sense with this pal that the person falling for you is somebody who you are currently involved with in some capacity, but I think it's more than just a fling with this emotion card coming through. Like, there are very much feelings on both sides, but maybe there has been some kind of difficulty arising recently within this connection. Like, maybe somebody is just distracted with an external thing going on in their life. Maybe somebody is dealing with a lot right now and they're not able to throw all their energy into this connection. And someone is feeling a little bit neglected due to that. They're wanting to know if this person is still on the same page as them, because this person has seemed distracted lately. So maybe one person is wondering, like, do they want this? Are they still into this? Are they committed? Is this going somewhere? And like, love/relationship readings are hard for me to do sometimes because ultimately I do always want what's best for you, and I never want to encourage you to stay in a situation that is making you doubt yourself to the point it's actively harming you. So I just want to reiterate at this point, you know your situation better than me. You know your situation better than anyone. So if you have tried communicating with this person and you've been unable to come to a compromise despite your best efforts, if they are not putting in the work, if they are mistreating you or deliberately, making promises that they are not keeping, then you know in your gut what you should do. And this next message might not be for you. But if this is a situation where, maybe there is distance, physical or emotional, there's this disconnect, if there's been some disruption recently, but you and this person do want to work on it and you feel like it's fixable with communication, then this probably is your message. And I just want to say that because some of you are concerned about time. You're afraid of wasting your time on the wrong person. Maybe some of you feel like this person isn't giving enough time to you and your relationship recently. For others of you, it's like you have been considering this because you have had to weigh up some heavy things, especially if, as one example, there are, certain biological time constraints in terms of having a child, or you're at a certain age where you are like, I don't want to waste the time I've got with a person who isn't giving me much in return. And in those instances, I would encourage you to ask yourself whether this is a person who you do truly trust, who you can rely on, who lives up to their promises. Because if they're normally great, if they normally do what they say they will, if they usually listen to you and your needs, then this could indicate, this is just a temporary blip right now. This is just a hard time you and them are going through. But if it's a case of them consistently not listening or failing to do what they set out to do, if it's this consistent pattern of behavior to let you down, then that's something you might have to think about more carefully in terms of what you want to invest your energy into. And it's going to be different circumstances for each individual. Some of you might literally be living with this person, but you're feeling a disconnect lately, whilst others of you, it could be long distance or a period of separation, maybe some no contact going on. It does just depend, but you know your relationships, and don't let me lead you away from your intuition. You will know if this is for you. But what I wanted to say, for those of you where you are still feeling at this stage like, this is my person and we can get through this, it's like this person is feeling just as strongly as you, and they want to reassure you that they're still here. They promise you they're still interested. they are always thinking about this, but there's other things on their plate right now. With responsible coming through on this card, it's making me think that they just have other responsibilities that are taking precedence over your connection. But there might be some worry and overthinking that that means they've lost interest. And for most people, they really, really haven't. It's just that they've been exhausted. You know, maybe they're in a very demanding job, or maybe they have childcare to consider, or, you know, health things going on, possibly relatives to take care of, or even, you know, financial things, legal things. Even for some of them, if they're going through like a separation of any kind, they have things they have to take care of, but it doesn't mean they're not also thinking of you heavily, because they definitely are. The feelings are there. They feel this connection just as much as you do. Some of you could be worried that another person is distracting them, like, you know, are they getting their head turned by someone? And I don't want to speak in absolutes because that's not fair. So obviously, if you are getting a gut feeling that something is off, then listen to your own intuition and do your research. But for many of you, this could be just overthinking and worry or insecurity due to things that happened in past situations in your life. And this person kind of wants you to know that they're not like that, that they are more reliable. Just because there might have been a little bit of distance doesn't mean that they're pouring their attention into someone else. And now I am getting distance being a factor. So maybe for some of you, you are in long distance relationships and you're worried that you're wasting your time trying to get this to work or progress, because things feel a little bit stagnant right now, or you're not able to communicate as much, and you're like, you know, is this person still invested? Are we ever going to deepen this commitment in some way? And that's going to mean different things to different people, but it's like some of you might feel your life is on hold because this person lives or works in a different country, let's say, and you're like, you know, are they ever going to be able to come and live with me? Are we going to be like a proper couple? And do they still want that? Because maybe it's something you've talked about, but things have been a little bit disconnected at this present moment. And for others of you, it's like you just don't know where you stand because they haven't made it official, or maybe you've been wanting to progress to the next stage and get engaged for a while and that hasn't happened yet. And you're like, you know, is it ever going to happen? Because maybe this person doesn't communicate their wants very well. And I don't think that they're showing up in the energy of being like a player or anything like that. But I think it's more they are very chilled and laid back, like they just go with the flow. But sometimes it feels on your end like there isn't enough forward momentum from them. Maybe it feels like you're doing all the work in trying to progress this relationship, and on their end, they're just kind of going along with it. Like maybe you had to ask them out, you had to make it official, and they're just like, okay, like they're just going along with it, but you don't really know what they genuinely want, and you want them to take more direct action and initiative when it comes to things like that. Like if it's long distance, you want them to be the one who books that flight and makes plans to come and see you instead of just talking about it. Maybe you want them to take initiative and plan more romantic date nights to reassure you that this connection is something they're invested in, that it's something they want, and that you're someone they see themselves having a future with. Maybe their laid back attitude when it comes to this has kind of been getting on your nerves, but it's almost like this person's higher self is wanting you to know that they really are working on it, but they just have a hard time expressing this. I think they do care about you, but on the surface they can come across as complacent at times, because oftentimes it feels like you making all the effort. So this might be something that the two of you need to chat about. And I'm getting something about different love languages. Like maybe the two of you have very different ways of expressing your love. So you're needing more reassurance because they're not meeting you where you're at in terms of giving you the things you need to feel valued. But maybe they think they are, because the way that they feel valued is very different. That is something I'm getting. So they don't really see it as a problem. And if you feel a bit of a disconnect right now, you could be doubting this connection, because I'm getting the phrase of like, if they wanted to, they would. You know, people use that phrase. That could be something you're thinking and kind of going over in your mind. And I will say that for the most part, in relation to that phrase, I do 100% agree, but I do think there is a little bit of nuance to that. Because the last time I heard that phrase personally, I think I was looking at some kind of reel where someone was basically saying, if a person they're talking to doesn't respond within a certain amount of time, then they're not interested. And it led to a lot of debating in the comments, and I could kind of see things from both sides, but I do actually think personally that it depends on the situation. I don't think you can talk in absolutes when it comes to that, because I know personally with me, sometimes I take a long time to respond, and it really doesn't mean that I'm not interested. It's just that I often send very long messages to people. So if I get a long message from someone, I want to really listen to what they've said and give myself the time and space to send a thoughtful reply that's not just like a one-word answer. And sometimes you don't have time to do that on the spot. And that's just my communication style. If I get a long message from my friends, sometimes I'm so excited to read it and all the things I want to reply with are like running through my head. But I have to actually take a bit of time to put those thoughts into a coherent order and reply when I'm ready. And in turn, I don't expect an instant reply back. If they reply hours or days later, I genuinely don't care as long as their response is engaging and it's clear we're both interested in having the conversation. And obviously, with romantic relationships and dating, I know like during those earlier stages, I think there does have to be some reassurance. Like, if you don't have time for a full conversation, I think sending a quick message throughout the day, like, hey, I don't have time to respond properly right now, but just know I'm really looking forward to seeing you later or speaking with you on the phone, and I hope your day is going well. Something like that can do wonders in terms of communication and letting the other person know you're still interested and they're not being ghosted, because obviously like ghosting is so common now. It makes it clear that you want to make time for them even if you don't have that time right now. But I think simplifying things to, if someone doesn't reply quickly, it's because they don't want to reply, is a grand oversimplification, because I just think it does depend so much on context. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but like sometimes people are genuinely busy. And I say that because some of the comments were like, if I'm talking to someone and they don't text back for 8 hours, it's done. And you know what? If that's a boundary for you, then fair enough, have your boundaries. But you deciding that doesn't make the other person a bad person, because people work differently and people value different things. And I know you can say, like, yeah, well, they get a lunch break, so surely they have a minute to reply. But I think comments like that border on being a little bit privileged, if I'm honest, because I know from working in extremely busy environments, in some jobs, you barely get time to have a lunch break. Like, you're lucky if you get a bathroom break. Should it be that way? No, we should all be entitled to a lunch break. But I know from experience that sometimes that just doesn't happen, and you genuinely don't even get 1 minute where you're not busy or dealing with something to look at your phone. In some jobs, you put your phone away in a locker whilst you're on shift and you don't have access to it for a number of hours, or you don't have signal on the site that you work at or something like that. I can understand if you know for a fact that this person just sits on their phone on social media at work all day, but they're not texting you back. Then yes, I can see how it's a valid criticism and obviously take that up with them, absolutely. But that's just not the case for everyone. But what I will say is that, your intuition will know the difference between someone who is just using you to alleviate their boredom and as a distraction than someone who does genuinely care, but they're not the best at replying fast because maybe they're dealing with other things. Like, if you message someone at 6 a.m. one morning and they only get back to you at 10 p.m. that night, but the reply is really thoughtful, they're keeping the conversation going, they're making plans to see you, there's some kind of forward momentum. I think there's a difference between that and someone who takes just as long to reply, but it's like a one-word answer and there's zero questions or zero effort to keep the conversation going. And obviously it is up to you. You're entitled to speak to or not speak to someone for whatever reason you want, and you don't have to explain that. And if the time it takes for somebody to reply in this example is like a hard boundary for you, then that's okay, and that's something you might need to discuss with this person. But I do think there is a difference between someone being busy but giving you the time when they have it, and just someone who is making you anxious due to a genuine lack of effort and care. So it's up to you to decide what your situation is, what you're feeling, but at the very least, maybe have a conversation with this person. It's okay if your love language or your communication style is different to theirs and you need some reassurance. Maybe on your end, if you're getting anxious if they don't reply, maybe you haven't wanted to broach it with them because you're like, they must know it's bothering me, like, are they even still interested? Maybe you're like, I don't want to be needy or something like that. But sometimes people don't know what's wrong until you tell them. And you could say, well, they should know how to treat me. But if this person's needs are different to yours, they might genuinely just not realise that this is bothering you, because whilst you're like, you took 10 hours to reply, so are you interested? Maybe they're sat there like, why wouldn't I be? Because texting just isn't a big deal to them. Obviously, it doesn't have to be that specific example, but take it in whichever way resonates to you and your situation with this person. They know the kind of connection you have, so maybe they're not putting so much emphasis on the texting or like the words of affirmation, but maybe you need that, and that's okay. It doesn't make either person a bad person. You just have different needs, and maybe you need to communicate about it. Expressing your needs doesn't make you needy. It's a form of self-respect to address these things. Maybe this person just operates very differently to you or what you have dealt with in the past. This person could be neurodivergent, for example, although that does not have to be the case. It could just be that you're a little unsettled by something, because in the past, when you felt that simmer of anxiety, it usually has meant that person is distancing or pulling away. But maybe on this person's part, they're unaware of that and they just think you and them are so solid that they'd be surprised you're doubting it. Maybe you just need to get on the same page in terms of where you stand, because they might not realize that they're adding to these doubts. And it's funny as well because, like, I can have busy days at work and not reply to my partner all day, and they can have busy days at work and not reply to me all day, but I don't even bat an eye about it because I know we're both just busy, but like we live together, so we'll catch up later. But I can totally see how in a relationship that is less established, like when you don't see each other all the time, maybe there might be more worry and anxiety there, particularly if it's a newer relationship. But you have to communicate that because people can't just read your mind. So I know that was a bit of a tangent, but that message wanted to come through, so I feel like it's relevant for someone here. But with that said, let's have a little roll of the astro dice to see which signs we are getting, and then we will move along to the tarot. Okay, pile 3. Okay, we've got Cancer coming through. We've got Cancer. Pile 3. We've got Virgo coming through. Virgo. And we've got Libra. So we've got Cancer, Virgo, and Libra coming through. Let's have a little look at the houses. We've got the first house, something to do with the physical body. And I don't know why, but I wanted to say that, like, you know, if this is a long distance thing, or it doesn't even have to be, actually. I was going to say, like, if the two of you haven't seen each other in person for a while or something like that, maybe someone here is concerned about how they have physically changed or how they physically look. Or maybe somebody is a very fit person, or they're working on their physical body and health right now. But it could just be like, even if you live with this person, maybe one person is insecure or they're worried that the other person is distancing because they're not feeling the best in their physical body right now, and they feel like, has this person lost attraction or something like that? So I want this to be reassurance that it is nothing to do with that, but it could just be something that is playing on somebody's mind right now. Let's roll again and just see what else we get. 11th house. I think we got 11th house in pile 2. You know, this could be somebody who you have an online connection with, particularly if it is long distance. It could be that you have a lot of FaceTimes, a lot of video calls, or there's like a lot of messaging, but it could be flagging that communication is an issue. Like, communication is something that you need to work on because the emotions are there, the feelings are there, but maybe this is like two people who aren't quite 100% on the same page right now, and something needs to be talked about. Okay, let's roll again. We've got the 6th house. So yeah, maybe somebody dealing with a health issue. Maybe somebody's routine is taking over right now. Maybe they've got into, maybe it's somebody feeling as though somebody is pulling back because maybe things have got into much of a routine, like somebody is in a little bit of a slump, or things have got too comfortable and someone feels like that effort isn't being made. So it could be about switching up that routine, making more time for each other, communicating about that. Also physical health, you know, maybe being flagged here, that being an issue or a cause for this distance. So that is what I am getting for the oracle portion of your reading, pile 3. We are going to move along to the tarot, so please bear with me and let's take a look at what we pulled for you. Hi pile 3 collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. As I explained in the introduction breakdown, the tarot reading today will be in a slightly different format to my usual videos. If you want a full explanation of that, please check out the introduction, but basically we are going to be asking 4 questions and we are going to be looking at 3 cards at a time to answer these questions. So yeah, let's get started and have a look at what we pulled for you. The first 3 cards that we are going to be looking at will be representative of this person's energy and how they feel towards this connection. So let's have a look at what we got for you, pile 3. Let's pop this sticker to one side for now. Okay, so their energy. We have the 10 of Cups, we have the Hierophant reversed, and we have the 9 of Wands. Oh, see, I knew that for a lot of you, this has potential. You're not giving up on each other that easily. This person sees you as their divine love. They see you as their counterpart. Whether they're showing it right now or not is a different story, but they are not feeling wishy-washy about you. They are viewing you as it, the person they see a future with, the person they could potentially see themselves starting a family with, if that is something you both desire. If you think this period of distance has made them doubt the depth of this connection, it really hasn't. They feel very, very strongly about you. I think they're looking at this with the future in mind at all times. even if it seemed like they're distracted right now, it's like they have this forward vision that they are working towards something that is going to be for the long haul. But this period of distance or separation, whatever the case may be, it has been a test of faith for you both. But I'm getting this message that like you're going to pass the test, or you have passed the test, or something like that. And this person is more committed than you think. But if they're a person who doesn't communicate what they're feeling at all times, I think some of you are worried that this person is retreating or that you've put them off, because some of you are maybe still dealing with insecurities adopted from certain past relationships. Maybe if in previous relationships you couldn't voice your needs, or you had to walk on eggshells, or it felt like someone would criticize everything about you, from how you look to the way you behave, or for the way you ask for your needs to be met, you could still carry that shame of feeling like you're either too much or not enough, or maybe a little bit of both simultaneously in some instances. Some of you could be clinging onto a belief that all love is conditional, and if someone sees you one day in like not the best light, then that means they will lose feelings. But this connection runs so much deeper than that, and I actually think you'd be surprised that this person does not view things that way at all. And I think that's because this is a healthier person than the kind of people you've met in your past. You know, like in the past, it could be that when you disagreed with a partner, it had to be like this big blow up argument that resulted in the relationship ending, or resulted in like silent treatment for days or something like that. And it doesn't even have to be with a partner, it could be from a parental figure, a caregiver. Like if you would have a disagreement, you know, this person from your past retracted their love in some way, maybe giving you that silent treatment, or making a big scene, or using emotions like anger or crying to manipulate you. So now it's like you try to avoid that at all costs. Maybe you're quite conflict avoidant, but maybe at times it comes in the form of you not fully expressing your needs. And maybe for some of you, it's made you feel like you don't want to rock the boat in future relationships, because you're scared that if you ask for something to be different, it's going to be this worst case scenario all the time. Like you jump to the conclusion that the relationship will end, or that this person will lose interest, or decide you're not worth the hassle. But I think this person, from what we can see, they view things very differently. They do not view you like that. Like, yes, they acknowledge that there has been tests, but if you've disagreed, you might be coming away from it with more anxiety, because you're like, is this the end? And meanwhile, they could be like, you know, me and Pal 3 argued, this is a new test of our relationship, but I'm still going to be looking online for engagement rings. Like, they acknowledge that it's a blip, but they haven't let it take away from the love they have for you, because a little fork in the road isn't going to stop those feelings. And it's making me think of like, you know, there comes a point in any relationship where after the butterflies or like the honeymoon period is over, when that person gets to know a little bit more about you, there's some worry of like, you know, will they like what they see? Will they want to stay with me after? And sometimes it's bigger things and sometimes it's smaller things. So like one smaller thing, one example could be that time when you first stay over at their house and they see you without makeup on, or you kiss before you both brush your teeth in the morning. It's like these little levels of vulnerability that we show over time. So that's like one of the first sort of tests. And then sometimes it's those bigger things of like, will they still want me when I'm experiencing health issues and they have to care for me, or when I'm dealing with a pregnancy, or I go through childbirth, or my body changes, or I open up to them about my trauma, or the first time I cry in front of them. Whatever it is, it's these big and small moments that allow you to learn more about each other as individuals and as a couple. And sometimes if you're in the dating stages, it's like even just one of those smaller things will kind of give you the ick, and it makes you realize, you know, I'm not compatible with this person. I don't see it going anywhere, because if this was the right person, this small thing wouldn't put me off. And sometimes it can be to do with the way they react. Like, for example, if you cry in front of someone and they don't know how to comfort you, that could put you off or something like that. So it works either way. But I feel like some of you are maybe worrying that you've put this person off, and that's a reason for this distance. So it could be that you think expressing a need or a boundary in your relationship has pushed them away, or maybe them just seeing you on like a bad day when you were angry or emotional, or you had a disagreement because something happened where it wasn't completely perfect. You're worried they've lost a little love for you, but on their end, they haven't at all. Whatever has happened, they still know you're the person they want to be with. And some of you, like, they don't even see it as a big deal in the same way you do, particularly if it's in relation to you asking for something within your relationship. Because with the 9 of Wands, there is actually a need to clarify boundaries here. And I think this person is kind of glad for that. Maybe they're like, this situation was a minor test, but it isn't the defining factor in our whole relationship. They're still very much invested in this. because no matter what you do, they feel like you're the person for them. You're the person they want to create this happy life with. Maybe you're kind of my pile who identify with like being an empath or picking up on the feelings of a lot of people around you. But I think for some of you, yes, you have that gift of empathy, of connecting to people's emotions quite easily. But for some of you, this can kind of come from a place of trauma, of trying to decipher somebody's next movements. It comes from a place of anxiety. You think that you are responsible for the way someone feels. So it could even be like, when you last chatted to this person, if they were having a bad day, you've internalized that and you've thought like, oh, they were being a bit off with me. So what have I done wrong? Like, what have I done wrong to cause this? And how do I make it better? How do I get it like perfect again? And sometimes it's not about you. Like sometimes, and I'm not judging you at all because this is something I've experienced. I really struggle when people are in a bad mood around me due to various factors. There's a sense of like responsibility sometimes that you feel over it. But sometimes it's nothing to do with like you and your relationship. It's just that that person was literally having a bad day and that's it. But I think like with this Hierophant reverse, some of you are maybe thinking like, oh, maybe it would be easier for this person if they were just free or single or something like that. And you're discounting how much they value you in this relationship because to them, you are their freedom. You are someone who they feel they can be 100% themselves around. They don't have to mask. They don't have to put on a front. You are their escape in some way. They feel like you and them share the same personal beliefs. Maybe there is something a little bit taboo or non-traditional about this relationship. That doesn't have to be the case, but that can refer to many different things. For some, it's an LGBTQ plus relationship. For others, it's maybe an age gap. For others, it's just non-traditional, as in like you've both been in other partnerships, maybe married and divorced. So it's like a merging of your families if you have children, for example. It could even be that the gender roles are non-traditional in this situation. Whatever the case may be, the specifics don't matter, but it's like this person feels safe to be free with you and they feel like they don't have to fit into a certain box or follow a tradition if that's not what they want. So yeah, it is a beautiful, beautiful energy overall. And with that said, let's have a look at how you're feeling in relation to this connection, pile 3. Okay, so we have got the 10 of Wands reversed. We've got the 3 of Swords reversed. And we have got the Fool reversed. Okay, so very interesting, pile 3. With these reversals, your energy towards this connection is very, very different to theirs. But I feel like a lot of this isn't actually to do with the connection. And instead, it's maybe more to do with how you are feeling about yourself. I think you're feeling like you've been carrying the brunt of the responsibility when it comes to trying to make this connection work. But one thing I am getting is that you're going to be releasing this. The 10 of Wands reversed, it's about delegating. So I think this is going to involve you being very open and honest in this connection and asking for what you need, because many of you have been holding back in terms of this, when it comes to this Fool reversed. I know this isn't going to be for everyone, but I am getting that sense again of like something we talked about in the Oracle. But some of you, it's like you're expecting a partner to read your mind and show up for you, but you haven't actually expressed what you need from them because you feel like it would make you too much. For some of you, there's this frustration because you're like, why can't this person just act the way I want them to? And I'm getting the phrase of you being like, oh, don't make me say it, don't make me say it. Because some of you are afraid that you won't be lovable anymore if you are vulnerable or if you ask for too much. And obviously, as we've said on this person's end, that's not the case, but they might not know that you're feeling that way. Some of you are like, well, if they just don't get me in that way, then clearly we're not compatible because I want someone who just understands. And yes, I can agree with that to an extent because I think there are certain behaviours in relationships where it's universally agreed that if a person does a certain thing or doesn't do a certain thing, it's obvious they don't care about you. Things that are obvious, like if you're in a monogamous relationship, don't sleep with somebody else, for example, that kind of thing. But sometimes the rules you have for yourself or the boundaries you would like to implement in a relationship, whilst valid, are not universal. People have been raised differently. We all have our varied communication styles and things we value in terms of love language. And just because two people might not be on the same page initially, it doesn't mean they can't align as long as both parties care about each other and they're willing to have this healthy dialogue. And it might be that, boundaries are discussed and then two people decide that those boundaries do make them incompatible and they don't want to continue the relationship. But you don't know until you open up to someone. And some of you have been holding back in terms of that. And this could apply especially like if this is a relationship but you haven't been together that long. It could be that you're scared of taking it from like that fun, spontaneous stage to something more serious where you actually have to talk about your feelings and your needs, especially if you're having to broach topics that haven't been raised before. Because for some of you, not all of you, but there could be a slight element of maybe like a little bit of internalized misogyny. And I know that won't apply for everyone. You don't have to be a woman, but I'm getting like the cool girl monologue from Gone Girl in my head right now. So maybe there's some part of you that's kind of like, I want to be seen as the cool, chill, laid back girlfriend. And if I express my boundaries, I won't be seen that way. Maybe you'll think like I'll be seen as a bitch. But some of you are doing yourself a disservice by not allowing that inner bitch to shine, because you do have a backbone, pal 3, so you need to use it, because the right person for you will not have you in an energy of feeling like you need to dull yourself or play down some of your needs. As long as those needs are reasonable, you should talk about them. Don't feel like you have to shoulder so much of this alone. You kind of feel like it's a risk to talk about these things, but I think you'd be pleasantly surprised by how much you'll be able to release, because it's not just about this person. I think for many of you, they will be receptive to this, but on your end, it's like no matter what, you will have stayed true to what you think and feel and believe, and that allows you to release some of this negative self-talk that you're not worthy of a relationship where your boundaries are honoured. For some of you, this is going to be very healing, and it's going to make you feel much more optimistic about the future of this relationship, because you are going to feel safe with this person. There's going to be some kind of reconciliation, some forgiveness taking place, particularly if there has been a disagreement or a period of separation. But the most important thing is you're going to truly say what you want to. You're going to have it out and in turn let go of some of this anxiety, because some of you have been anxious, you've been fearful, particularly, if there has been this disagreement or something hasn't been put out into the open. Maybe you've come away from that and you're like, oh, like it's only a matter of time before this person ends things, because they can't see me like this and still be attracted to me or still love me. But this person isn't seeing it this way. For some of you, it's like you're reading way more into it and you're predicting what their thoughts and feelings are going to be before allowing them the opportunity to speak and air any grievances. Because what you've learned from past situations is that voicing your needs will get you in trouble, like love is taken away from you in some way, so you're not wanting to repeat that. But this person isn't that person from your past who showed up like that, so I think that's something you're needing to consider. So I think at this point we are in need of a little confidence boost, pal 3, so let's have a look at what this person likes about you. Okay, let's have a look at what we got for you, pal 3. We have the Queen of Wands, we have the Five of Cups reversed, and we have Temperance. The Queen of Wands, listen, they like you because you can stick up for yourself. They like when you're assertive. They like that you have a lot of self-respect. So if that's something you feel has started to slip, or you're worried that speaking out will have negative consequences for this relationship, just know that this is something they love about you. They're falling for you because of this ability to stand up for what you believe and say what needs to be said. They're falling for you because they see you as incredibly self-sufficient. They're very physically attracted to you, and it could have something to do with fertility, or if you're a parent, for example. It doesn't have to apply, but maybe they see you being a brilliant parent and always prioritizing your kids, and they fall for you more and more because of this. They're falling for you because despite some of what you've been through, some of the challenges, you can still get up every day and remain optimistic. They also think that you are incredibly skilled at navigating social situations, and this might surprise you, particularly if you're an introvert, because a lot of the time we associate the Queen of Wands with being outgoing, so it's going to be different for each person, but they love how you talk to people. They think you're charming, they think you're charismatic, and with that, it's like they feel as though you are someone who they could introduce to their friends, to their family, and that you'd be very likable. And maybe that's one of the reasons they view you in that Ten of Cups energy that we mentioned earlier. You're someone they could take to meet the family or to merge families with. They'd feel proud to have you on their arm. And I think with the Five of Cups in reverse, it's also saying they like it when you open up, so don't be afraid of opening up. They actively want you to, because they feel like when you do encounter a disagreement, you can get it out in the open and you can move on. Some of you could have found this difficult, particularly if you have any water sign energy in your chart. I don't know why that's coming through, but I have a lot of water in my chart personally. I have I obviously have a Scorpio sun, and I have like a Mars in Cancer. And sometimes with that, it's like we feel such a lot, but we don't want to burden other people with our problems. So it can sometimes be like a silent resentment that you don't realize is building up. It can result in some grudge holding because we've not given ourselves the space to say what we want to say. So maybe this is something you're addressing, and this person is going to fall for you more because you're willing to be vulnerable and express yourself. And that's going to make them feel safer because it's not going to result in this simmering undercurrent of tension because people have had to step on eggshells or they've not said what they needed to. It's like you can disagree, you come to a compromise, you draw a line under it, and you move on. And the relationship is allowed to progress and flow naturally because everything has been brought out into the open. Some of you need to hear it, but they're falling for you because of your open emotions and not in spite of them. And although it might feel like you have been tested recently, they're falling for you because they feel this sense of balance and peace with you with this Temperance card. They know that if there's a disagreement, the two of you can be patient with each other. They know that, even when emotions are heightened, when you have a discussion, you can both stay grounded and you can come up with practical solutions to an issue without things getting out of control. They feel safe with you. They feel like you're understanding and patient with them, and they really appreciate that. So with that said, let's take a look at their next actions when it comes to you and this connection at pile 3. Okay. We've got the Tower. We've got the 2 of Pentacles. And we've got the 4 of Pentacles reversed. Okay, so I know it's the Tower. Please don't get scared because I feel like I have an inkling of what this is in terms of them and their next moves, and it's nowhere near as bad as you think. But for a lot of you, it's like you haven't been prioritizing your own needs when it comes to this relationship, and you haven't felt like a priority because you haven't been speaking out about some of the things you need, or even if you have been speaking out, but you've been kind of underplaying it, like making a joke about it rather than having a serious, look, this is what I need from you style conversation with your person, for example. It seems like they haven't been putting too much thought into what might be lacking. Because on their end, they're aware there's been some tests, but they know they care for you. They still see you as their 10 of cups. And maybe they've been complacent to an extent because they haven't really acknowledged how much their action or lack of action, whichever applies, is bothering you to the extent it is. They've just kind of been going along, and maybe they're like, I know I've been distracted, or I know I've not been putting as much energy into pile 3 as what I'd like, but things will get back on track eventually. They've been quite laid back about it, and maybe they haven't been taking those steps to make you that priority. They know it's their end goal, but there hasn't been a sense of urgency with it. They haven't been in a rush. They've been kind of like, well, we're both happy with how it is or how things are for now, and things will get where they need to be eventually, but right now something else is taking my focus. Because maybe something hasn't been made clear to them in terms of how you truly feel about the situation, and that there's maybe things you aren't 100% happy or content with. So I think with this Tower, once something is revealed to them, once you communicate, once you make it clear to them what is truly bothering you, it's like their entire foundation comes crumbling down, particularly if this is a thing you open up about and you're like, I've just been feeling this way for the past few weeks or the past few months and XYZ. This is like a huge shock to them. It's a revelation. They can't believe you've been feeling like that and they haven't known, or they've thought everything was fine all this time. I really do think this takes them off guard, and initially it might lead to a little bit of internal chaos on their side because I think this person feels kind of ashamed that they weren't clued onto this, but they might initially sort of say like, why didn't you tell me you felt this way so I could have done something sooner? And I think that's the thing, is that they want to change because they hate the thought of you feeling that way. So once there's that period of like initial shock and panic on their end, I think this moment lends itself to them having an awakening because they're like, pile 3 is right, I haven't been prioritizing them like I should have been doing. And there's this awareness that something needs to change in a big way because ultimately, like, they do not want to lose you. For some of you, it could be an ultimatum of some kind, and that triggers them into action. Because even if it's something you've both spoken about before, maybe they weren't taking you seriously before, but they are now. So this doesn't have to apply, but if, for example, you are a woman and you have said you want children by a certain age due to your personal circumstances, I don't know, like maybe it's more of a time constraint for you. Like you could, for example, have a condition that affects your fertility, let's say. So maybe it's more of a priority for you than other women your age. This could be a boundary you've expressed to this person you're in a relationship with. And maybe, they want children too. So you've said something like, well, in the next couple of years, I want us to be living together and having a serious discussion about children. And it could be that this person does want the same thing. So they've said, like, yeah, I'm on board with that. But those 2 years have maybe been and gone, and they're procrastinating or they're not making it a priority in terms of actually taking practical steps when it comes to that. And for many of you, I don't think this is actually coming from a bad place. It could be that they're just underestimating how much this means to you and that they are a little more loose with their timelines of things, because in their mind, maybe they interpret a couple of years quite vaguely. So although they know they want to have that with you eventually, there's less urgency. It feels like you're the one trying harder. And they maybe don't know that that's making you unhappy because they think you're on the same page as them, like you're happy to go with the flow. But some of you aren't because of your circumstances. You need a more precise timeline. You need to know that they're actively working on making a situation happen because you don't want to waste time. So maybe you have to have this sit-down discussion with them where you're like, I need to know whether you're still on the same page as me about having children in this time frame, because this is what I want for my life and I want to be with somebody who shares similar goals. But I think this kind of shocks them into taking you seriously because they did want the same things as you anyway, but this reveals to them that they've kind of been neglecting taking the necessary action. And they're realizing, like, crap, yeah, I haven't been taking this as seriously as I should be. I've been neglecting this part of my relationship. It doesn't have to be the example of having children. Obviously, that's quite a big one. But something here, whatever it is, shocks them and it jolts them into action because it makes them realize you are the one for them and they need to start prioritizing you and the relationship because they realize they haven't really been managing their time effectively. They've been trying to juggle everything at once and they know that they've been distracted. They know they've been focused on a certain thing, but that it's taken time and attention away from you and your connection. And they want to change that. They want to prioritize the right thing and they're realizing that's you. So they're going to be becoming more adaptable. They're going to be handling their time better. They're going to be making that effort to give you the attention you deserve as and when they can. And they're going to listen to what you have to say in terms of your boundaries and meet you part way because this revelation makes them realize how important you are to them. And that's going to allow you both in this connection to let go of some of these issues with the Four of Pentacles in reverse. It's going to allow you to let go of this fear that you're asking too much. It's shedding old layers of cultural conditioning that led you to believe you weren't worthy of effort or of having your needs met. This person is going to be becoming more generous with you, maybe in terms of their words, their affection, physical touch, if they know that's what you need, or maybe just in terms of their openness, their vulnerability, or their time and energy if you feel that has been lacking lately. Their next actions are very much focused on hearing you out and dedicating themselves to this relationship and to making it work. So that is what I'm getting for the tarot portion of your reading, Pile 3. We are just going to finish this reading off with a little bit of advice from the Beach Time Soul Oracle. So let's have a look at what we pulled for you. Okay, Pile 3, let's have a look. So we have got lightning, sudden change, shocking news, surprise, epiphany, upheaval, transformation. Yeah, it's crazy we got this lightning card since we just had the tower. Like, it makes so much sense, but it really does feel like this situation is going to be changing and transforming in a way that truly surprises you, I think in a pleasant way, because maybe when you asked for certain needs of yours to be met, you went in expecting the worst, but what you get is like truly someone who wants to show you that they're capable of change or that they're capable of adapting for you because they've had this epiphany that you're the one and they really don't want to lose that. Something has put things into perspective for them, and for some of you it could be they've heard some shocking news about someone else. For example, if they experience a loss of someone close to them, a family member for example, and they're going through this period of grief, it shifts their perspective because they realize they want to be closer to you and they realize what's important to them. Because, like if they've been putting all their energy into work, let's say, if they've been distracted by that, maybe this loss of someone has made them think like it really is important to spend time with the people you love. Like maybe work isn't that important in the grand scheme of things. That's just one example. It doesn't even have to be someone close to them. It could be that their colleagues are talking about someone, a celebrity even, who passes away young or unexpectedly. And it just makes them think that like, that must be so horrible for that person's partner. What would I do if I lost Pile 3? And they can't bear that thought. So they want to make you a priority because they're realizing how special this connection is and that it should take precedent over other things. It could even be to do with like a slight health scare situation. And I don't want to worry anyone because I don't think this is likely to be anything life-threatening. But it could be that just the thought of you being at risk in any way is the thing that kind of shocks them into action. So I don't know, one example I'm getting is like, let's say you break a bone and you end up in hospital and you're fine, but maybe you have to stay there for a bit, get fully checked out, get some x-rays or whatever. But I'm getting the image of your relative, like maybe contacting this partner to let them know you're in hospital. They're like, pal 3 has had an accident. And if your person is in another part of the country or the world, like maybe their signal is bad when they receive that call or something, and all they can hear is that you're in hospital, and it gets them thinking the worst. Or like they get a really blunt text just telling them to come now, and they think it's going to be a lot more serious, but it jolts them into action. They drive or they fly out to see you immediately, and even though it turns out to be some kind of false alarm, it makes them realise just how much they care for you because of how frightened they were when they thought it was more serious, when they thought there was a possibility of losing you, something like that. But I think this thing is something that's going to bring you closer together, and almost, I want to say, reignite the spark in a way with this lightning, because they realise how lucky they feel to have you. So even if you feel like the honeymoon phase of the relationship has passed and the spark isn't what it was, it's like whatever is going to be happening feels like a new stage of intimacy that lights and warms everything up again, because you've been through some big thing together, and they have this moment of realisation of like, I couldn't have done this without pal 3. You know, maybe it's something going on for them personally where they have really valued your support and love, and they just feel so fortunate to be part of your world. They can't imagine life without it. And I just think they're going to be showing a change in character, making big leaps for you. For some of you, it is a thing that takes your relationship to that next level, maybe a proposal or a person moving in, or just making it official if you're not that far along yet, moving to a different part of the country or world to be with you, just expressing their emotions in a more profound way. But the change will be very surprising in a great way. So that is what I'm getting for your reading, pal 3. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did enjoy the reading, please like the video. If you get a chance, please leave me a comment, even if it's just to tell me which pal you picked. But please try and tell me what resonated if you can. And if possible, please subscribe if you haven't done so already. All that would mean the absolute world to me, and I would just appreciate it so, so much. Thank you for being here, pal 3. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi Pal 4 Collective! If you chose Pal 4 and you chose the Plastics Oracle and Mean Girls Tarot and you chose the Mushroom Sticker, you are in the right place. Welcome to your reading, friends. If you would like a full breakdown regarding what to expect in this reading, then please check out the introduction. But we are about to get started with the Oracle portion right now. So we are just going to be popping your tarot cards to one side for now so we can focus on these Oracle cards. So let's get started and have a look at what we pulled for you, Pal 4. Okay, so we have got number 69, relaxation, peace, tranquility, easiness. We have got number 18, stimulation. We have got solitude. Think of being alone as meaning you are all one and in total harmony with everything. The greatest treasures are those that wait silently during your quiet times. And we have got number 32, nature. So as I have done with all the piles, I just want to mention the numbers right off the bat, in case these are relevant in terms of dates, ages, synchronicities that you are seeing a lot of, angel numbers. That doesn't have to be the case. It's just a little bit of extra confirmation if it is. So we've got number 69. No comment. Maybe that is something you have spoke about with this person, or you will speak about. I don't know. But we have number 18 and number 32. The energy that I'm picking up on for you, Pal 4, is that there's something very easygoing and comfortable about this connection. And it's interesting because you're my last pile, but I feel like you're the first pile that I've looked at today and kind of thought that you really don't need to be here. And I don't mean like you shouldn't be here. I want you to be. I very much welcome you here. And, you know, if you are relating to this, I'd love to hear from you. But I just mean sometimes with love or relationship readings, there can be more of a chaotic energy coming through because people are desperately looking for answers. And there's a lot of weight placed on readers to give those answers. But with you, I feel like you're my pile that's just here genuinely for entertainment, which is great, by the way. I want the readings to be entertaining, but it doesn't feel like you're here needing as much reassurance or clarity. Whatever your relationship situation, you kind of feel good with where you're at, or that you'll be good either way, like whether you are single or whether you have someone in mind. It seems like you're just here because you're genuinely curious or a little bit nosy like me, like you just want to see what I'll say or whether I will say anything that resonates in terms of a person you're thinking of if you have one. Or if you are single and you're not really looking for anything, you're just kind of like, you know, like what the hell, let's see what comes up. Or maybe you're someone who isn't too fussed about watching relationship readings, but you watch some of my videos and you just want to support me, in which case I'm very, very thankful. And that's amazing. I just sense such a tranquil and self assured energy with you right off the bat. So it's either we are talking about someone you are currently in a relationship with and you are feeling pretty safe and comfortable with that relationship. For some of you, it could be long term, and for some of you, it's new, but you feel very much on the same page with this person. For a select few of you, it could be a friend who you feel comfortable with, but they might have hidden feelings for you. And for others of you, you're single and you're not specifically looking for anything right now, but you're open to seeing what happens if the right person comes along. So maybe this is going to be a brand new person stepping into your life this fall. Or if it's a person you've recently met and been talking to, but you're not putting too much weight on this, maybe you've got a feeling, but you're not sure if it's them and you're just seeing if their energy comes through. It's going to be different for different people. I always say that. And hopefully we can get more into the specifics when we look at the tarot, but the overarching energy of this connection is just one of harmony and balance and mutual respect. The two of you feel at ease with each other, like something just clicks. You feel like you can be yourselves. It could be that upon meeting this person, there was just this sense of safety or home or belonging. This feeling of like, for some reason, I feel as though you're like me. I feel as though we vibe well together. And you do, like maybe it's similar humours, similar values, just something that feels mutual and aligned with this person. There's no need to put on a mask around this person. It doesn't have to be an initial spark of romantic attraction at first sight, particularly if this started out as a friendship. For some of you, there was that initial physical, palpable, like love at first sight spark. But whether that's the case or if it started off more friendly, for both people, there did seem to be this deep knowing that on some level, the two of you are the same, like shared souls. For some of you, it was immediately romantic, and for others of you, more platonic, but the feeling of sameness was definitely sensed by both parties. And I'm getting the phrase, a bit of me. So I don't know if anyone says that, but it's like the two of you met and someone thought, that's a bit of me. This could be physical attraction, like this is my type, this is what I like, this person takes my fancy. But it could also be like they share jokes with you, they get to know about you and your morals, and they're like, yes, this person is a bit of me, like they're on my wavelength. I know I can get on with them because we have so much in common, they just get me, or vice versa. It could be like you share knowing looks of some kind and you can just tell what the other is thinking without saying it. I'm getting like two people whose brains work in a very similar way. And maybe if you're in a group setting, somebody says something and the two of you look at each other and it's kind of like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And you're always thinking the same thing. And if you share that with the group, maybe other people in that group are like, I would have never thought of it like that, but you two are just like two peas in a pod or something along those lines. I don't know why, but you could be two people who are good at reading others and you always pick up on the vibes of a situation. So if something happens, you share this look and then later when you talk about it, you're like, what did you think of XYZ? And this person tells you and you're like, I was literally thinking the exact same thing. I don't know. It's like maybe you're good at dissecting people and analysing those kinds of situations. And this is, or it's going to be, a person who you are not afraid to unmask with. So this could mean literally in terms of the way you look, like you can be in front of them with hair tied, sweatpants, chilling with no makeup on, and it feels very easy and natural. They make you feel safe to be naked in some way. Maybe literally, like when you get physical, you feel more comfortable or confident around them than you have with others. They feel like a safe person to share your body with or be intimate with. Or it could be in terms of you just being like goofy or weird. It's like you're not afraid to let your weird side out around them because you feel fully accepted. I think the interesting thing as well is that you both prioritize an intellectual connection and you stimulate each other's brains. You get each other going through your conversations, through the things you talk about. That's how you kind of turn each other on in a way. I don't think this is a person who gets swept away by the first physically attractive person they see. That physical attraction will be there, but I think it's heavily influenced by you understanding each other's intellect and being able to communicate so well. I think both of you really value that side of things. If you can't have an intelligent conversation with somebody, like you're not interested, basically. So on a personal level, this very much makes sense to me because I really don't like when people say things like, oh, intelligence or being able to communicate is nice, but you need to be physically attracted to someone in order for things to work. Because I get it, but it implies that physical attraction is purely down to what you can see and isn't influenced by other factors. And maybe that is the case for some people. Maybe it is solely about what someone looks like. But I personally have never been able to relate to that. So it kind of winds me up when people reduce physical attraction to that. because I agree many people, myself included, need physical attraction or chemistry or spark to make things work. But how physically attracted we can be to someone is very much influenced by things that aren't to do with how they look. Or at least that's the case on my end. Because if I see a beautiful human, I can say to myself, that person is objectively attractive, but I'm not attracted to them based on that alone. Someone can become more or less physically attractive to me depending on their behavior. If someone has like a 10 out of 10 face or body, but they're an unkind person, that influences how physically attractive I find them. There could have been potential for desire, but now I find them unattractive because they're mean. I see them and their features physically differently because of their vibe or their energy. And it works the opposite way, like a good sense of humor, emotional intelligence, engaging conversations are things that intensify physical attraction. You're turned on and you want to be more physical with somebody when they're showing up like this. Just a face or body alone isn't going to be able to cut it most of the time. So I get this, and it seems like this is the thing with the two of you. You just get each other, the communication is there, the banter, the playfulness, and that adds to the spark. It brings the heat. And two people who can communicate well, the way that can translate to the bedroom just adds another layer of intensity to that attraction. And I think that's going to be the case in this connection. I'm definitely getting, mercurial energy here. Maybe Gemini or Virgo placements are relevant here, possibly Sagittarius or Aquarius too. Doesn't have to be the case, but there could be a lot of intellectual stimulation between the two of you. And intelligence can come in many different formats. So I'm not saying this person has to be part of like Mensa or something. It doesn't have to be just one thing. They could be very academically smart, but they don't have to be. It could just be that they have a lot of insightful or interesting things to say, or the two of you have shared hobbies, or they come up with really smart jokes, or you just admire the way each other's brains work. You can have deep philosophical chats about all different topics to like get each other going. I think both of you are people who are pretty much good at being by yourselves, like you're not desperate to make a connection work. And I think in a relationship, you would each be able to maintain a level of individuality, even though you are so similar. It's because you are so similar that you both know how important it is to give each other space. So you're both going to have that time to focus on your individual hobbies. You'll have shared things, but you also allow each other space to focus on other things. You don't lose that sense of self. And that's important because, particularly if we have spent a good amount of time on our own, it can be overwhelming if someone comes in and kind of takes over and it feels like we don't have time to invest in ourselves anymore. But I feel like if you live with this person, or if you haven't met this person yet, but you do live together in the future, they'd give you your space. They wouldn't get offended if you need your alone time because they need theirs too. For some of you, you could be meeting at a time when you've ended something with one person and you're not really looking for anything else because you're good on your own, or that could be this person. But I think this thing will just happen very naturally. Like with this nature card, you're not looking for it necessarily, but the feelings are there and it just feels easy to slip into a natural rhythm with this person. It could be that this is a person who is very much into nature and potentially walks or hiking, being outside, going camping. They could be into birds or animals generally, maybe like plants or mushrooms even, because we got that sticker. This could be a connection where you go on a lot of like low-key dates out in nature. This person likes to do that kind of thing. This is probably someone who has a Fitbit or some kind of Apple Watch or a way of monitoring their steps. They like to get their steps in or keep physically or mentally healthy by being outdoors as much as possible. I'm also getting the phrase, "it's in my nature," but said in kind of a jokey way. So I don't know if that's something this person has said or would say, but it's making me think of a person having some kind of quirk in terms of their personality or behavior, and I get the image of you playfully teasing them, like, "Why are you the way you are?" And then saying, like, "It's just in my nature," and shrugging, or the other way round. But it's not said in a hurtful way. It's more because, like, these two people get each other. So when one person is like, "It's just in my nature," the other person is like, "Same." This is probably someone where, like, if you shared a meme or a reel with them, it could be something very specific, something that feels exclusive to you and them, and they just get it. Like, it makes sense to them, even if it wouldn't make sense to other people. It feels like the two of you will have a lot of inside jokes, which is really, really nice, pile 4. So that is what I'm getting for the oracle portion of your reading. We are just going to roll the astro dice before we move along to the tarot. So that will give us some idea of signs and houses. So yeah, let's have a look at what we get. We have Gemini. I think we mentioned Gemini in the oracle. I think I did anyway. Yeah, let's roll again. We have Scorpio. And we have Pisces, so we have Gemini, Scorpio, and Pisces coming through. Let's just take a look at the houses as well. We have the 4th house. So that's interesting, like Cancer energy coming through, but it's also like associated with childhood and the home. So there is something about this connection, I think, that feels sort of childlike, in that maybe you bring out each other's inner children with your humor. But yeah, it's like we said, you feel like home when you're with this person. There's just this sense of belonging. You feel safe with them. Maybe there's something to do with the way you were raised, like you were brought up in the same way and you can bond over that. But there is just this feeling of understanding and safety. Okay, let's roll again. We have the 9th house. I thought it was actually the 6th house at first, but it's actually the 9th house. But yeah, that makes sense. I think we spoke about Sagittarian energy, possibly you and this person being into philosophy, having those kind of deep chats, having very expansive conversations. That makes sense. Okay, let's roll one more time. And we've got the 12th house. Maybe this feels like quite a spiritual connection. Maybe it feels like some kind of divine soulmate connection or something like that. And that's the reason why it feels so safe and so secure and why you're like pulled to this person. Maybe there's some weird sense of your intuition guiding you towards this person, or vice versa, like the two of you being pulled together. So yeah, that is what I'm getting for the oracle portion of your reading. We are about to move along to the tarot, so please bear with me and we'll get started on that. Hi Powerful Collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. So as explained in my introduction, the tarot portion of this reading will be a little bit different to my usual readings, in that essentially we will be asking 4 questions over the course of this reading, and we will just be looking at 3 cards at a time to answer each one of the questions. So let's get started and have a look. We are going to be opening the reading by looking at this person's energy. We're going to look at this connection overall in a little bit more depth. So let's have a look at what this person thinks and feels towards you and this connection. Let's just move this mushroom out of the way. Pop this here. So let's see what we've got. We've got the Page of Wands. We've got the 9 of Swords reversed. And we've got the Queen of Wands. So with the 9 of Swords in reverse, this could be someone who struggles or who has struggled in the past with some anxiety or some mental health issues generally, and maybe in previous relationships they've had a hard time opening up about this. But with you, I feel like they're going to feel safe to do that. They are feeling very optimistic about this overall, but it could be at the time you enter their life. They're in the process of working through something, recovering from something. It could be that when you meet, they've recently gone through a breakup or separation or loss, and they've had this period of time where they have had to go inwards. But with you, it's like they see this light at the end of the tunnel. They see things getting better. They could be someone who is quite jovial externally, so it's like they don't want to burden people or get anyone down with some of their problems, so they don't always talk about these things. They don't always accept help when they're struggling. They like to maintain this kind of light-hearted persona, but I think they know there's something about you where you do see through them because you understand them. So maybe they feel like you're someone who they can actually talk to about these things with, and you just get it. You give them a safe space to vent about some of their issues, because they could be someone who kind of makes jokes about their pain and struggles, but it's like the two of you speak the same language. So if you know they're not in the frame of mind to be like down for a serious conversation, for example, you'll meet them where they are, but you'll get them to be vulnerable, but just in their own way. So I don't know, with that example we gave earlier of like sending memes, it could be like somebody communicates about their mental health struggles via memes. Like they kind of make a joke about it, but it opens the door to a wider conversation. And you get that about each other. You relate a lot to each other. I do think this is a very funny person, and I think the two of you are going to laugh a lot together. There's almost like this playful, childish energy coming through, sort of like two teenagers in love. No matter your age, you bring that young side out of each other. And this person feels a lot of passion towards you. They definitely are wanting to express themselves in a physical way. And if you haven't got to that stage yet, This person wants to take charge and they want to bring some of that energy to the table and maybe be a little bit more assertive with you. Again, I think words and expression are a big component of this, so they could really make you feel good, both physically and verbally. I think you're both going to make each other feel very confident, but it's not just anyone who can come in and sit there looking pretty and make this person feel that way. There's just going to be something about you, your words, your intellect that just gets them going and makes them feel kind of hot and bothered. They're going to be feeling really good about you and about this connection. I think as much as maybe neither of you were explicitly looking for this, it's like now they've encountered you, they're feeling like they want to go full steam ahead. They want to keep making plans. They're going to be having a lot of ideas about the things you can do together. I think they're going to want to take initiative to plan dates. They're probably going to call or text you a lot, remain in pretty continuous communication throughout this. Overall, they're feeling really good about this, and they don't have that sense of fear that maybe they've experienced in other connections, because it feels like everything here just flows very naturally and they're not having to force anything. It's like they're going to be calling and texting you because they want to, because they're eager to plan the next thing or to see you again. It's not out of obligation, it's because of this genuine passion, and I think that's beautiful, pile 4. So let's have a look at how you're feeling about them and about this connection. Okay. We have got the Magician, we have got the 9 of Pentacles, and we have got the 8 of Pentacles. The first thing I wanted to say, pile 4, is that you're going to feel like this person is qualified for the job, because this person is showing up in an energy where they are proving that they can handle you or that they know what they're doing. With this Magician, I do feel like, again, there is this knowing between the two of you, and I think when you connect with this person, there's going to be this feeling of like, they just know things. They just know things. I keep getting that. It could be that you think this person just understands the way you operate generally and they adapt to that. You're going to feel like they're on your wavelength physically, intellectually, and emotionally. They just know how to stimulate you in all ways. And you see them as someone who is committed to getting to know you in all those different ways. You're seeing them as the master of something. And I think a lot of you guys, it's not like you just give anyone a chance, because you're fine with being on your own. You're independent. You've spent time in solitude. But it's like this person, their dedication, their mastery, it's hard to ignore. Like, you could throw any test at them and they would pass it with flying colours. They're very resourceful. I think you also see them as very intelligent. And again, that gets you going. That's something you really like in a person. It appeals to you. You think they're skilled at whatever it is they do, either with you or just in terms of their personal goals. It could be that if they do have a hobby or interest and they showcase this, there's something about it that turns you on, like that adds to the charm. And I'm getting it could be something to do with what they do with their hands. And that could mean many things, obviously, but I think it could be in relation to this hobby. I'm getting something about playing an instrument, like drums or like, I don't know, the guitar or something being significant for someone here. It could be in relation to this hobby. You have seen them doing it and you just think they're so skilled, they're the best at what they do, and that dedication, it appeals to you. So it could be their personal thing, but it could also be in terms of you and them, like physically. They're very dedicated in terms of intimacy. They won't stop until they know you've had a good time. They're very thorough. Or maybe it's like if you have a problem, for example, they won't let you go to sleep angry. You're going to sit and talk it out, and maybe, you really like that about them. I think you're going to feel like they notice these little things about you. They have that attention to detail, and that's something you really appreciate. They're probably not the type to get you like a generic gift. It's like they really see you and understand you. And I think you're going to feel very secure. Like, this isn't the kind of person where you're going to be doubting the connection or how they feel about you. It's like we said, when we looked at their energy, it seems like they are forthcoming. They're quite open. They're going to be planning things. And if it was the wrong person, maybe this could be overbearing. But with them, it just feels right. It feels natural. And you feel safe to express yourself whilst also feeling like you're able to maintain your independence and freedom. You feel like they are someone you can invest in and build that secure future with. Maybe you like their confidence and their ambition, their ability to go after their goals. And this is someone you see that solid foundation with. You can see them becoming this part of your future, and someone who just kind of fits into your life plan quite easily. You don't have to force things. You're just on the same page, and both of you happen to want the same things. So it just all plays together very nicely. So let's have a look at what they like about you, specifically pile 4. Why is this person falling for pile 4? Okay, so we have got the Ace of Swords, we've got the 2 of Cups, and we've got the 8 of Cups. Oh, powerful. This is so lovely, particularly, when we look at this Two of Cups, that says it all. But what I want to say is this person is falling for you because they feel like you match their freak, okay? Like they just feel as though the two of you belong together. They look at you as their soulmate. You match their energy, and I don't think they've ever had anything like that before. They feel like you are a true partnership and that you're their teammate. Like neither of you will let the other down. They can depend on you. They don't view you as someone who is going to like show them up in front of other people or try to put them down or embarrass them. They feel like you and them are always on the same side, and they're falling for you because they feel like the attraction is very much mutual and there's equal give and take in this. And they're feeling like you're somebody who, for some of you, they could see themselves marrying, they could see themselves settling down with. There's very much a mutual respect and effort here. Even for those of you where you haven't known this person very long or you're just getting to know them this coming fall, it feels like you're already this united front in a way. There's just such a strong connection here right off the bat. There isn't really any doubt or lack of trust on either side. And the Ace of Swords can literally talk about being with stimulating people or environments. So it feels like they've never met anyone like you before who just has this way with words or way of communicating where they feel so understood and to the point where it actually makes them feel energized. I'm getting like there's never a dull moment. So they're falling for you because you're so much fun. You can laugh together, there's banter, you share a similar sense of humor, and I feel like they love you for your vivid imagination, how you're always coming up with new ideas and keeping things exciting. That's something they really value. They also like that you can communicate clearly, you can be assertive, you're truthful in terms of the things you say. They don't have to play guessing games with you because you're just so in harmony with each other, like everything is clear. And they like the plans that the two of you come up with. If you suggest something for a date idea, they're very enthusiastic. They want to jump right ahead and do it. Like these things that you suggest, it's as though you kind of keep them on their toes because you're always coming up with new ideas together. And I think with this Eight of Cups, they like that you've inspired them to move on from something, maybe a self-limiting belief that was holding them back, or maybe like if they did go through a breakup or a period of isolation before meeting you, it's like the healthy connection that you and them share has allowed them to fully abandon that thing and put any unhealthy thoughts attached to it behind them. I think the two of you will have a lot of deep and philosophical conversations, and I feel like, every time you share a new idea, you give your thoughts on something. It allows this person to think more deeply about themselves, and they love that. They love that you encourage them to go on these journeys of self-discovery and you awaken things within them that they didn't know about themselves. So this is very clear. They have a lot of strong feelings for you, but let's have a look at this person's next actions in terms of you and this connection, powerful. Okay, so we have got the Moon reversed. We've got the Three of Swords reversed. And we've got the Queen of Pentacles. So I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit taken aback by the cards we pulled in terms of their next actions because we had a lot of this very excited energy and this feels like a little bit more of a heavier energy, but it does make sense because it's like we mentioned, I think this person has had a tendency in the past to bottle things up or not share their problems, not take their emotions too seriously, and that will be changing due to their connection with you, which is obviously a good thing, but maybe they are still battling a few insecurities. It could be like this person has a lot of prominent water or air placements, but they have like a water moon or water placements where they feel things very deeply, but due to some of their other placements, they struggle to let it show or they use humor as a coping mechanism. And it feels like this person is a really genuine, kind person and they are excited, they are enthusiastic, that's without a doubt. But maybe they have been carrying some worry from a previous situation they were in. Maybe they have been betrayed in the past and that's something they're overcoming, but it's one of the reasons they find it challenging to be fully vulnerable. But they're releasing some of that with you. So I feel like this person is going to be unburdening themselves in a way. I think there's going to be a deeper level of intimacy between you and this person because they're going to be vulnerable with you, maybe about some of the things that they struggle with. But I think that's going to bring this connection closer together, especially if that's a bridge you haven't fully crossed yet. Maybe some of them have been fearful to enter a next stage of commitment because there's been this period of self-deception with the moon in reverse. Like they've been having doubts about opening up to you because maybe the last person they did that with lied to them or betrayed them or something like that. And it's so different in this situation because their intuition might be screaming at them that they can trust you, you're not that person. And the thing is, it does feel so natural to trust you and to open up, but because something or someone else has kind of done a number on them in their past, their anxiety creeps up and makes them doubt their intuition. So they want to keep moving forward and progressing things with you, but at the same time, there could have been like this little voice in their head that's been like, but you opened up to the last person and look at where that got you. So they just don't want to make the same mistake. But I do think they are going to be leaning more into their intuition because they realize you're not that person from their past. This situation is different. And the reason it feels so harmonious is because you are for them. They don't have to be as guarded. Their anxiety is going to be subsiding and they're going to be releasing that tiny bit of fear that they were still attached to. And I think they're going to be confessing something to you. They're going to be unveiling a secret. It doesn't have to be about this connection specifically. For some of you, it will be like they're going to be expressing deeper, more profound feelings. And that allows this connection to progress to the next stage, whether that's flirting to dating, friends to lovers, dating to making things official, a relationship to moving in or to a proposal. They're going to be talking about that more seriously, and maybe it's going to be deepening that connection. But if it's not about the nature of your connection specifically, like up-leveling that in some way, it could just be them expressing their personal fears or open up about their past hurt or their anxiety. And either way, it's going to deepen the bond and the intimacy between you both in a huge way. And I think these next steps are going to allow you both to feel even more secure in this relationship, like things are out in the open, and it just leads to you both feeling more loved and appreciated and valued. It's like the hard conversations are out of the way, and now you can enjoy each other. You can go on more dates or, maybe do some traveling together, enjoy some luxurious experiences with one another. These conversations are going to allow you to connect even more, and in turn both people are going to feel more confident and more devoted and generous and loyal towards each other because you're feeling even more like you're on the same page and that the two of you are solid and stable and connected. So that is what I'm getting for your tarot reading, Pal 4. Let's close this reading with a little bit of guidance from the Beach Time Soul Oracle. So let's have a look at what we pulled for you. Okay, Pal 4, let's have a look at what we've got. So we've got soulmates, soul connection, partnership, agreement, soul contract. Oh, so you're literally getting the soulmates card. And I don't like to throw that term around lightly, but I mean, there's only so many ways this can be interpreted. The reason you and this person share such a special bond is because in some capacity, they are part of your soul family and you are meant to be in each other's lives for a reason. And listen, I do believe in soulmates. I know other readers have differing beliefs when it comes to what constitutes a soulmate. But for me personally, I think we can have many soulmates throughout our lives. And I think they can be romantic or platonic. And I think, some of them are meant to be in our lives for a short time and some of them are meant to be in our lives for a longer time. But we are meant to meet for a reason. They are meant to be part of our journey. They can teach us something or help us grow. I fully believe that. So I do think this person is one of your soulmates. And that's the reason the two of you have this pull. It's the reason why things feel so easy and natural and why there's this sense of safety. And I know personal growth does come with some challenges and some obstacles, and ultimately a soulmate's purpose might be to help us grow in some way. But I also feel like a soulmate's purpose can be to help us heal. And that's why I don't really love it when certain readers indicate that your connection should always be like a test of faith or something like that. And don't get me wrong, I think there's nuance to that. If there are external obstacles between you and your soulmate that you have to overcome together and it allows you both to grow as individuals and in your connection and it brings you closer genuinely, I think that can almost be like a test of endurance. If you're overcoming things that neither of you are in control of, that can kind of help you grow in a way because it's no matter what the tests are that are thrown your way, this person is worth it and that your connection is worth fighting for. I get that. But on the other hand, I don't like the idea that a person treating you poorly is an indication that they are your soulmate and that this is a test of faith. So if you're looking for a reader who will tell you that a person who has betrayed you in some way or is cruel to you or who has ghosted you for no reason is your twin flame or your soulmate, I'm probably not the reader for you because I don't want to encourage delusion and I want what's best for you, just to be very honest, just to be for real with you completely. I don't think you should interpret someone mistreating you as a test of your commitment to the relationship. I just want to say that because, we experience many, many hardships in this world. And in my opinion, true love or a connection with a soulmate doesn't have to be one of them. Does that mean you're never going to argue or go through situations that challenge you? No, but it means that at the very least, you deserve a safe space to come home to at the end of the day. You deserve a teammate, someone who has your back, someone you can rely on and you're not second guessing their intentions. And I think you and this person are that to each other, is basically what I'm trying to say. And that's why it feels so easy, because it makes you realize things don't have to feel hard. That's why it feels so nurturing and so natural, because that's how it's supposed to feel with our soulmate. Even if you get mad or upset with each other from time to time, you know that ultimately you'll work through it, and this person is down for you. They're in your corner. Some soulmate connections might force us to grow, but they should also allow us to heal. And sometimes that means giving us a connection that feels safe, especially if we've never had that before. We can't rely on anyone to fix us or to heal us, but we can help ourselves heal with the help of a supportive person. And I feel like you're going to have that with one another, because there's always this underlying current of shared dreams, good communication, and mutual respect within this, which is very exciting, powerful. But that is what I am getting for you for your reading. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did like the reading, please do me a massive favour and like the video. Please comment if you get a chance and let me know what resonated for you, or just let me know which pile you picked. And if at all possible, if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. That would just mean the absolute world to me, and I would appreciate it so, so much. Thank you for being here, powerful, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.